I'm Doug Brown. The NFL kicks off Week 2 tonight in Philadelphia. The Eagles hosting the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers won't be on the field again this season, but ESPN's Damian Woody believes Rodgers' career is not over.
I still feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to be in the mix in 2024. I just don't feel like with everything he invested this whole offseason, getting to this point, and then for it all to go down with that horrendous, Achilles injury, that he would just let that be the end of his career.
Damian Woody on Unsportsmanlike here on ESPN Radio. The NFL extends its deal at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London through 2029. There will be at least 2 NFL games at the stadium every year. This year, the Bills and Jaguars play in Week 5 with the Ravens and Titans the following week. Yankees prospect Jason Dominguez will have Tommy John surgery next week. The 20-year-old center fielder made his big league debut just 2 weeks ago. The recovery time is expected to be 9 to 10 months for Dominguez.
When it comes to hiring, you don't need to be doing all the searching, screening, and interviewing yourself. What you need is Indeed, the end-to-end solution that makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire quality candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusu. And Mr. Toby Tumplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Fantasy Blitz later this hour. We'll head to Stark Vegas. Check in with Steve Robertson next hour. Ryan Clark, Mike Triplett in hour 3. Ton to do. Glad you're here. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
So with the news that Peyton Turner was going to have surgery and was going to go to IR, we knew there were roster moves that were going to come for the New Orleans Saints before they take on the Carolina Panthers in Charlotte. So the most obvious was the decision to put Peyton Turner on IR. So the former first-round pick, turf toe, he'll have surgery on that toe, and he's going to be out here now for at least a month. It looks like his opportunity to return won't be until after the bye, which comes in week 11. So Peyton Turner's going to be out for a while. You knew you had to replace him, and we knew that this was going to happen. We talked about this on Wednesday's show because the Saints signed a free agent in Terrell Lewis. So we talked about Terrell Lewis a good bit. Lewis played at Alabama, drafted in the 3rd round by the Rams, 3 years with the Rams, won a Super Bowl there. But the real question was if the Saints were going to be comfortable activating Terrell Lewis. I mean, you sign him on Wednesday. Are you really going to play him on Monday Night Football on the road when he's been with the team for 4 days? So the answer pretty clearly now is no. It's not going to be Terrell Lewis, as the Saints did sign Terrell Lewis to the practice squad. Of note is that they promoted Kyle Phillips to the 53-man roster, and this was our feeling yesterday if you were here, because when Dennis Allen talked about the opportunities, he mentioned Isaiah Foskey, of course, 2nd-round pick, and then he mentioned a couple of guys on the practice squad who would also have that opportunity. Well, the couple of guys on the practice squad were Kyle Phillips and Nico Lalos, and we went through this. Look, Nico Lalos had a great preseason. He had 4 sacks, which led the NFL in sacks in the preseason. But Kyle Phillips is the guy that's got more skins on the wall, who's been in NFL games and played in more NFL action, and of course was with the Saints throughout camp in the preseason. So this is a very natural and obvious fit because this is the guy who has the most game experience in the NFL, the most skins on the wall, and has been with you throughout this whole offseason program. He's ready. He's the most obvious choice. Yes, you'd love it if Isaiah Foskey were ready to play, but you're not going to take him and just put him on the field because this week in particular, going to Carolina, you have got to be able to affect Bryce Young. Atlanta was able to do that. And as a result, Bryce Young didn't have a great day throwing the football. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't a thing where when you go out there and you throw for 100 yards in a game, it's just not super it's just not going to be super efficient or effective, which is what happened to Carolina. He threw a couple of picks. One of them was off a deflection, but he threw a couple of picks in the ball game against Atlanta. So if you're New Orleans and you know you've got Cam Jordan on one side and Carl Granderson on the other, and you've got Tano Passanio as a backup there, well, who's going to be your other backup in the two deep that's going to be part of your rotation? Peyton Turner's out. Kyle Phillips becomes the most obvious. Now, moving forward after this week, it's going to be very interesting to see if Terrell Lewis can win a job and win reps as he gets more comfortable with what the Saints are trying to do schematically. But for Monday, as it stands right now, it looks like with Kyle Phillips being promoted to the 53-man roster, he's going to be the guy that gets that opportunity behind Carl Granderson at the right end. The other notes, so those were two of the notes. Peyton Turner went to IR. Kyle Phillips was promoted to the 53-man roster. They did announce the signing of Terrell Lewis, so that's three of them. Also of note, and I think a lot of people were interested in this, Jontre Kirkland was released from the practice squad, and Ryan Connolly, who aggravated his preseason knee injury, was placed on the injured list as well. So he was designated to the practice squad as an injured player, so he's no longer against the 53. So if you're following me, Peyton Turner, Ryan Connolly, both go to IR. Jontre Kirkland released. So you freed up 3 spots. You brought in Terrell Lewis, like we talked about. They also re-signed Ty Summers. Remember, Ty Summers, another one of those veteran linebackers who'd been around the league, and it was kind of Summers or Connolly for that backup linebacker spot. Connolly won the job. Well, now Connolly being injured, Summers they signed right back, and he fills into that role. And the third spot that they signed, and this is essentially the guy replacing Jontre Kirkland, is tight end Michael Jacobson. Michael Jacobson's interesting because he's a guy that played basketball collegiately at Iowa State and then decided, he's 6'7", sound familiar? Played basketball collegiately and then decided he wanted to give football a try, and so he's bounced around the NFL a little bit. Was with the Colts most recently. And now he's also with the Seahawks, and he's trying to give it a go. The one thing that you have to say about New Orleans as a hat tip is this is a franchise that offensively has found creative ways to get guys involved. From Jimmy Graham being a basketball player, finding the Taysom Hill role, carving that out. Sean Payton and I guess by extension, Pete Carmichael have done that. So I'm not saying, especially right now when you look at the Saints roster where you've got 3 really good tight ends already, and so much so that you couldn't keep Lucas Krull, and he promptly got signed. I'm not saying that there's a role for Michael Jacobson on this team, but he's an interesting project, and let's see if they can carve that out. The other sort of noteworthy roster move, by the way, they also signed cornerback Faion Hicks to the practice squad. The other noteworthy roster move was promoting Lynn Bowden to the 53-man roster. If you remember, Lynn Bowden was an all-purpose player at Kentucky who was a receiver and returned kicks and punts and was awesome. And actually, in his last game, their bowl game, he ended up having to play quarterback in that game and went off for like 300 yards. He was awesome. Lynn Bowden is a guy that, while the Saints don't really need depth at receiver any more than they already have, he's a guy that can also play all the special teams units and can return kicks and punts. Let me remind you what happened on the opening kickoff against the Titans. Rashid Shaheed had the ball ripped out of his hands. Turnovers on special teams generally at this level mean you don't keep your job anymore doing that. Now, Rashid Shaheed is a fine receiver and is going to have a role on this team. Obviously, is that what appears to be the number 3 right now behind Chris Olave and Michael Thomas. So he's got his role, but Lynn Bowden could very well be activated to go return kicks and punts and to cover kicks and punts as the gunner as well. So something worth keeping an eye on as the Saints head to Carolina this weekend. So 9 roster moves, and it was a busy day for the Saints. We always say it. It's never the final 53. It's always the first 53 because this is constantly in flux. And the Peyton Turner injury, the Ryan Connolly injury necessitated a few moves, and they wanted to get Lynn Bowden to the 53-man roster, and they released Jontre Kirkland there as well. So there you have it. Peyton Turner, Ryan Connolly, Jontre Kirkland out. Turner and Connolly IR. Kirkland out. Lynn Bowden, Kyle Phillips promoted to the 53-man roster. They added Ty Summers, Terrell Lewis, Michael Jacobson to the practice squad along with cornerback Fayon Hicks. Lot. You got all that because there will be a test tomorrow. All right, it's after further review. Our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Of course, you're going to be in the Dome, not this weekend. They're in Carolina, but make sure if you're going to be watching the Saints all season long, check out those Houdat cans. Of course, they got the Bud Light cans with the Fleur-de-Lis logo on it. They got the LSU cans and aluminum bottles, so you can check those out. Your favorite fine retailers. Southern Jags as well, the official beer of the Saints, the Tigers, and the Jags. Drink easy in Louisiana all football season. Our friends over at Mockler Beverage, great community partners, and have been for more than 40 years now. And you go to any charitable event, and you see the Bud Light truck, you see all the Mockler products, you know that Mockler is supporting your great charitable organization, your church group, your men's club, your fair, whatever that may be. Great community partners have been, and of course, great supporters of the home teams, the official beer of the LSU Tigers, the New Orleans Saints, and the Southern Jaguars. Drink easy with Bud Light. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. Thursday shows are brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. When we come back, LSU readying for Mississippi State. Emory Jones with a few words that didn't sit well, apparently, in Starkville. We'll get to it as we continue. We're glad you're here on AFR.
AFR.
All right, y'all. Told you earlier this week there was an article where CATS, the Capital Area Transit System, bought 6 new electric buses. Y'all, it doesn't matter if it's public transportation, if it's your coworker that now drives an electric vehicle, if it's the United States Postal Service converting much of their fleet to electric vehicles. Electric vehicles and their usage are ramping up everywhere, and everyone who owns or operates an electric vehicle has to have a place to charge them. So that's where ProCharge comes in. ProChargeEV.com, ProChargeEV.com. Electric vehicle chargers for your home or your commercial building. I highly recommend. Look, if you're a home builder and you're building out homes, have the EV charger hookup already in there. If you're a business owner, go to the website where it says Let's Talk. Just scroll down, ProChargeEV.com, fill out that form. Someone will be in touch to go through all your options. You got to have EV chargers at your place of business. ProChargeEV.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day. Barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time to slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me. Oh,
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
104.5 ESPN along with Acura of Baton Rouge are teaming up to honor our military and raise funds for Folds of Honor. This nonprofit organization provides scholarships to the spouses and children of soldiers who were killed or disabled in service. To donate to this important cause, visit our website at 1045ESPN.com. Everyone who makes a donation will be entered to win exclusive prizes, Folds of Honor, to honor their sacrifice and educate their legacy.
LSU heads to Starkville to take on Mississippi State Saturday morning, 11 a.m. We'll talk to Steve Robertson in 1 hour from right now, a part of the Scout Network over there. Does a great job covering Mississippi State, has for a long time. We always enjoy having Steve on, so we'll get to that 1 hour, our opposing media, sort of get the view behind enemy line. So we'll get to that. One of the real big questions I think that's going to be fun to watch is how that LSU offensive line handles the Mississippi State defensive front and how much we see Lance Hurd. Of course, he made his debut a week ago against Grambling. We saw him play from the second quarter, the first possession of the second quarter for LSU, all the way through the remainder of the game. So we got a ton of work and certainly looked like he belonged. Now, the level of competition ratchets up dramatically this weekend against Mississippi State. But the thing that I'll remind you is all throughout fall camp, LSU went good on good. So we saw Lance Hurd going up against guys like Savion Jones and Quincy Wiggins and Paris Shand there at that left end spot on the defense where Hurd was playing right guard. So I don't know what the rotation is going to look like, but Brian Kelly told us point blank this week, and he is nothing if not candid, right? And we can all agree to that at this point. Brian Kelly told us point blank earlier this week that Lance Hurd is going to play again this week. Like, that's going to be a rotation. And when they rotate, what they do is they put Hurd in at right tackle and they kick Emory Jones into right guard. Well, Emory Jones met with reporters and said he's enjoying actually that move playing inside.
It's actually been fun. Coach Davis always teaches us, across the board. So I kind of watch guys get coached every day, and I kind of know what to do. Got a general idea what to do with everything. So it's just been a fun transition. I'm showing my flexibility on the O-line, which I think is going to be a great thing in the future. And I've been having fun. And
it is worth noting, and I actually tweeted this during the Florida State game. It was very obvious if you were watching. If you were watching for this, I should say. LSU became a left-handed running team against Florida State. They could only run behind the left side of their line. with Will Campbell and Garrett Dellinger. When LSU tried to run to the right side behind Frazier and Emory Jones is where they were largely getting blown up. The Josh Williams goal line runs. They were trying to run right side, and it didn't go well. The fourth down give, or the read option with Jaden, was trying to go right, and didn't go well. When they ran left, that's where their opportunity really was. The one exception, I think, would be the Josh Williams draw in the 2-minute offense before half, where he took it to the right side and ran for about 35 yards. I think, look, Emory Jones is a big, strong, physical guy, and he's a great run blocker. He was a left tackle in high school. They obviously played him right tackle last year. Now he's playing right tackle and right guard when Lance Hurd goes in there. But if the objective is get your 5 best on the field, that's a way to do it. Because Lance Hurd, I think, is one of your 5 best now. And if the way to do that is to get Hurd in at right tackle and Jones in at right guard, not only are your 5 best on the field, but you're also putting a tremendous run blocker on the right side, which Lance Hurd is unmistakably a physical, mauling run blocker. The thing that's probably going to take time for him is pass protection. That's just kind of how it goes when you're a young offensive lineman. Will Campbell experienced this early last year. Very good in run blocking, struggled in his pass sets early in the season, and it came along and he kept getting better and better, as we suspect will happen with Hurd. But if Hurd does play an extensive amount this weekend, that is an illustration that they're trying to run the ball and not be so predictable because they'd be able to run to the right side behind Emory Jones and Lance Hurd. By the way, here was Emory Jones talking about what it's been like mentoring Lance Hurd on that right side.
Coming in at tackle, I had a whole bunch of questions. Why is this like this? Or when this picture happens, what do I need to think? And I just been kind of trying to help him think the right way about things, like gap zone. You need to start with your eyes outside instead of inside, to assess the edge. So I've just been doing little things like that to kind of get his mind in the right spot. And I feel like he's been doing a great job at, picking up.
I think Emory Jones is a great teacher there because he literally went through exactly what Lance Hurd is going through right now. Highly recruited dude from the state, comes in, doesn't play the first week against Florida State, gets on the field against the SWAC opponent week 2, plays really well, and now is going to get more of an opportunity in week 3 against the conference opponent. I mean, it is the exact same blueprint they use for Emory Jones they can use now for Lance Hurd. And this weekend is going to be interesting going to Starkville because Mississippi State's run defense through 2 weeks has been pretty exceptional. Now, they give up 83 rushing yards against Southeastern. I understand who the competition is, but there's still warm bodies over there trying. So 83 rush yards against Southeastern, and this past weekend against Arizona ran it for 91 yards. So that Mississippi State rush defense right now is averaging about 85 yards rushing per game through 2 weeks. Now, Arizona did throw for 340, so that's worth noting. Arizona threw for 340 and ran it for 91. So, they put up almost 450 yards of offense against this Mississippi State defense. But the point that I think is most impactful, and I think this is why it's going to be important if Lance Hurd gets some run this weekend, if we see Logan Diggs in the game more as a more dynamic runner. Last week against Arizona, Mississippi State's defensive front, they had just 1 sack, but they had 9 TFLs. 9 TFLs. So that's a defensive front that is talented, that is active, and you have a defensive-minded head coach who is going to focus on that, clearly. So, yes, I think this is a really, really big opportunity for the LSU offensive line against that Mississippi State defensive front. They are not as good, as big, or as active as what you saw against Florida State, but they are certainly much better than what you saw against Grambling. So it's a sliding scale, right? So where does Mississippi State fall, and how does LSU handle them? It's going to be very indicative of what you're going to see in conference play moving forward as now you're into the meat of your schedule in conference play. The one other thing that Emory Jones said that has gotten some attention from people in Starkville, as you might expect, because that's a fan base and a relative program that has, look, they lack resources, they lack historical success. I think in many respects they understand that at Mississippi State, that they're not Alabama or LSU or Florida or Georgia or Tennessee or programs who have great tradition, winning tradition and championships and tons of resources. I mean, I think that's understood, but it's a program that also doesn't like head padding. And this kind of felt like that from Emory Jones, and there's some State people that didn't take it too kindly.
You know, they don't have a whole bunch of star players, so what they do is kind of move guys around a lot. Like every play, first, second down, they're moving guys, line games, stuff like that. Just kind of making you play it true. You know, you got to be able to respond to movement, and I feel like in our O-line room, we're doing a great job of doing that. You know, we're buying into the game plan. Everybody's, you know, bought in. So I feel like we're going to do great blocking their movement and, you know, bust some runs.
They don't have a lot of star players. Everything else he said after that probably is going to fall on deaf ears because when people want motivation, they're going to find it. And Emory served it up. Now, I don't know that that matters a lick. I still think LSU is the better team, and I think LSU should be able to go and control the line of scrimmage on both sides in this ballgame and win this game. That's why LSU's a 10-point favorite on the road in this game. At home, they'd be a 2-touchdown favorite. But it's also a thing that State is going to latch onto, and you never know what motivation might spark in people. I mean, we talked last week about Deion and this fabricated motivation with Nebraska and Matt Rule disrespecting him or however that went. I still never heard anything from Matt Rule about disrespecting Deion, but we all saw in The Last Dance where Michael Jordan was straight up making up stories about things that underlings said to him on the court so he could go out and score 60 on him. Like, different dudes find motivation in different places, so see if Emory gave him any on when he met with reporters there saying they don't have any star players. Which isn't wrong. I mean, there is no Jeffrey Simmons on that defensive front. There is no Montez Sweat on that defensive front. There is no guy that was a former 5-star or a projected first-round pick on that defensive front. But that's a defensive front last week that held Arizona, a Power 5 team, to 91 rushing yards, had 9 tackles for loss and a sack, and 8 passes defensed. So they are active. Their head coach is a defensive-minded guy. That is a challenge, so get your head on straight and go play well Saturday morning in Starkville. Okay, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Was emailing earlier today with Joel McMullen over at Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Excited. Middle of next month, I'll be down at their Harahan office as they unveil. They have the ribbon cutting for their new calibration lab. One of their giant programs, objectives throughout all of last year was expanding the square footage and modernizing and upgrading their calibration labs all over, not just Louisiana, but all over the country. So if you're in any one of the industries that they serve, and if you go to the website at Michelli.com, you'll hit the industries tab right there at the top, and you'll see a list of all the industries that they serve, from aerospace and aggregates, agriculture, the chemical and petrochemical industry, food and beverage. They're everywhere. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. But if you're looking to have your precision measurement devices calibrated, if you need ISO 17025 accreditation, you want to do business with a local company that's going to give you exceptional customer service, it's Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. Okay, y'all, happy Thursday. Thanks for being here. Darin Tietgen's with us in about 15 minutes for our Fantasy Blitz. It was awesome last week. We always appreciate y'all for firing away with your questions. So before you set your fantasy football roster, check with our guys at whotostart.net. That's whotostart.net. Darin's with us every Thursday at the end of hour number 1. So if you have personalized fantasy football questions, fire away, get them in. We'll get them to Darin and our Fantasy Blitz coming up here in about 15 minutes from right now. Okay, it's After Further Review. We'll grab a quick break. When we come back, we'll go around the SEC. And the Panthers have added a free agent to their secondary in advance of the game on Monday Night Football against the Saints. We'll knock that around when we come back. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. I really want to encourage you when you go shop at Rouse's to keep in mind all their Rouse's branded products. When Rouse's doesn't, like, I'll give you an example. I went to Rouse's last week and I was walking through the aisle and went to go pick up some Bud Light, and I wanted some potato chips. So I went down the chip aisle, and there were Rouse's branded potato chips, which were phenomenal. And with Rouse's specifically, whenever they have one of their branded products and they start sourcing all of the ingredients or materials, they always start with, can we get this locally? Local farmers, local fishermen, local. That's Rouse's. For more than 100 years, they've been in the making groceries business for 60 years. It's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's, this feels like home.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Get 3.99% financing on select 2023 models at Corvell Toyota in Opelousas. And we also have a large selection of pre-owned inventory. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
It's a great opportunity, a blessing to have that type of platform for us as a team. I think, it's great and it's really cool, but at the same day, we're still playing on the same field we would have if it was on Sunday. We're still going to have to execute against a great team in New Orleans. So, it's really cool. It's a great opportunity, but at the same time, it's still football.
Bryce Young will make his Monday Night Football debut Monday night against the New Orleans Saints. It is a Monday night doubleheader, by the way. The Saints, I believe, are the ESPN game, and the Browns, if I'm not mistaken, are the ABC game on Monday Night Football. It's let me make sure I have this right. Yes, so ESPN, ESPN2 will be Saints Panthers. Browns Steelers is the ABC game. So doubleheader on Monday Night Football. Remember, the Saints start at 6:15 Central. So it's an earlier kick. The Cleveland-Pittsburgh game starts at 7:15 Central. So an earlier kick for Saints and Panthers. The Panthers are a little banged up. They're only into week 2. Of course, they lost their season opener at home against Atlanta. Or excuse me, on the road in Atlanta. But the Panthers are a little banged up. We know that they're going to be without both starting offensive guards. And we also learned J.C. Horn is injured. He could be headed to IR, which could have him out for more than a month. So as a result, the Panthers signed cornerback Sam Webb off the Raiders practice squad. Sam Webb was an undrafted rookie a year ago out of Missouri Western, so a small school guy, went undrafted, called on with the Raiders, and actually appeared in all 17 games last year for the Raiders. So there's a pretty obvious tie here as well in that he knows Derek Carr. Now, for the same reason that it's unlikely that the Saints were going to sign a defensive end on Wednesday and have him playing on Monday, I don't know that Webb is necessarily going to be available for the Panthers to play on Monday Night Football. It's worth mentioning they've got Dante Jackson, C.J. Henderson, Troy Hill, and Deshaun Jameson as the other cornerbacks already there. So that should be enough to get you through Monday Night Football. But the nuance of signing Webb as a guy who went against Derek Carr in practice every day a year ago in Las Vegas is interesting because maybe, just maybe, he can divulge some type of secret tidbit, tell something about Carr as the Panthers play Carr for the first time as a divisional opponent. One of the things about divisional opponents is generally you know your opponent so exceptionally well because you play him every year, twice a year. So you end up having a game plan for that opponent. You just know them and their strengths, their weaknesses, and their personnel. It's why you often see personnel recycled within the division. I don't think it's a great surprise that you had a couple of Saints defenders end up in Atlanta, a couple of Saints defenders end up in Charlotte with the Carolina Panthers. So, I mean, David Onyemata's in Atlanta now. I mean, that's as bizarre as that is. Shai Tuttle's in Charlotte. Kentavia Street. I mean, you're going to see these guys, who were former Saints. So just something worth keeping an eye on. I mean, because the point being, the Panthers don't know Derek Carr. Now, the Saints don't know Bryce Young, but one's a much bigger threat right now than the other. For whatever it's worth, when I look at this matchup, the Saints' offense should feast in this game. I mean, Desmond Ridder was just 5 of 18 for, he was 15 of 18 for just 115 yards. So Atlanta didn't try to spread it out and stretch the field. This is just a completely different animal with New Orleans. And you're going to be without J.C. Horn. Dante Jackson's been a little hit or miss and been injured as well. C.J. Henderson, former top 10 pick who got traded from Jacksonville for a hill of beans because he's really struggled. Troy Hill is a good veteran player, but he's in his mid-30s now. And then Deshaun Jameson's the other. I don't know how Carolina limits this Saints passing game. The only question from New Orleans offensively is, can you give Derek Carr time to throw? Now, that's easier said than done because we saw it a week ago, and it was objectively not good, especially on your left side. Last week against Atlanta, Carolina had 4 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, and 6 TFLs. So that Carolina front was very active against Desmond Ridder and the Falcons and that offensive line. So it's a big test for the Saints offensive line. If they can keep Derek Carr upright and give him time, the Saints passing game should feast on Monday Night Football there in Carolina. All right, we're going to go around the SEC in just a quick second. Love telling you about Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows that will keep your home, again, more energy efficient, lower your energy bills, beautify the exterior, increase your home's resale value. It's Relief Windows. And remember, Relief Windows now has indoor shutters as well. So when you go to the website at ReliefWindows.com, you see up at the top, the little bar at the top that'll say windows, doors, siding, and then you'll see shutters as well. Hit that shutters tab and you can learn more about how you can get these custom indoor shutters for your home. It'll add another layer of energy efficiency. They're also fire retardant as well. They're not going to yellow or chip or crack or peel over the years, and they come with a limited lifetime warranty. Relief Windows, yes, they are windows, door, siding. They are also now indoor shutters as well. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Okay, we do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Florida Gators.
Florida will play its rivalry game against Tennessee in front of a sellout crowd. The university announced the sellout on Thursday afternoon. This is the first sellout of the year for the Gators and the 5th in the Billy Napier era. Florida loss would be just the 3rd time since 1970 that the Gators dropped back-to-back games against the Vols. Also, Florida has not lost to Tennessee in Gainesville since 2003. The dubious distinctions potentially on the line for the Gators.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Speaking of those Vols, Josh Heupel anticipates center Cooper Mays will return for Tennessee Saturday at Florida. Mays has not played this season following a minor medical procedure in August. And as they say, it's only minor when it's done to you. Mays has started 23 times in his Tennessee career, was preseason all-conference. Balls could start Mays or continue to start senior Ollie Lane, who's filled in during Mays' absence.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Safety Javon Bullard exited the Ball State game with an ankle injury. He's been limited in practice this week and not sure yet if he's going to be available against South Carolina. This would be big. Remember, Bullard was the MVP of both college football playoff games for Georgia a season ago. In the event that Bullard can't go, cornerback Kamari Lassiter and safety Malachi Starks will take on a larger role in the secondary, getting everybody lined up. Bulldogs, by the way, have given up just 3.9 yards per pass attempt. Pretty good. Spencer Rattler averaging 10.6 yards per attempt. That's 8th in the country. Something's got to give.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
And Vandy football safety Savion Riley will not play Saturday against UNLV due to an upper body injury. If you had the over on Vanderbilt's win total, they got to go get this one against UNLV. The Doors face the Rebels Saturday from Allegiant Stadium out there in Vegas. So they're going to go play in the NFL Stadium. Also, right tackle Junior Ezebu is questionable, and cornerback B.J. Anderson also questionable with an illness. Okay, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy, Trey Beal, and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. You know where to find them, gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products, a national leader among Savin dealers. I mean, every time I go over there, you talk to Trey Beal and the gang, it's so impressive, the operation that they run. One of the nation's leader among Savin dealers, but they will service all makes and models. So give them a shout. Gulf Coast Office Products, gcopnet.com. All right, y'all, it's after further review. We're going to knock out our final break here of hour number 1. When we come back, our Fantasy Blitz. If you're new to the show, what did we say? Darin and I talked this year 12 or 13 we've done this. I mean, it's incredible. Like, yeah.
So I have to read you parts of that open. So I was looking for the work parts today. I found them and found your final open cut. Okay. 2012. 2012 is when you had the open made.
Okay. That makes sense.
So that's 11 years?
Wonder if that's the year we started or that's just when I made that. So that open that we use. That open we use is the one that I made 11 years ago.
Yeah. I'm going to do my best to just recreate it from those work parts too. So.
Or do whatever you want.
I like it. I like that open a lot.
Okay. Anyway, Darin Tietgen, whotostart.net. They changed from .com to .net. I don't know why. But anyway, whotostart.net. That's next. So get your fantasy football questions in. You can email us. You can tweet us at or X us.
Hey, Twitter. Oh, no, not Twitter. Hey, X world.
Thank you, George, truly. You can hit us there at Matt Moscona with your questions, or you can text 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Fantasy Blitz is next. Stay here.
AFR.
Brought to you by Pluckers Thursday Night Football. Where you going to watch? Oh, you got NFL action tonight. The reigning NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles at home against the Minnesota Vikings. Jets and the crew heading on the road. Need a place to watch? Get by Pluckers. Either location, Nicholson or Bluebonnet. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. Award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, the things I tell you about all the time. By the way, the U is playing tonight. Miami fresh off their walloping at Texas A&M. They host Bethune-Cookman. That's on the ACC Network. I don't have ACC Network. You want to watch that game? Go by Pluckers. They also have Navy-Memphis tonight on ESPN. So if it's college football, if it's the NFL, they got you for Thursday Night Football at Pluckers. And every Thursday, all you can eat boneless buffalo bites. Pay one low price, eat as much as you want every Thursday at Pluckers. Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine in, carry out, or delivery. Remember, Pluckers, if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on select new 23 Ford F-150 trucks. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. After further review, this is the Fantasy Football Blitz.
Do you know who I am?
Powered by whotostart.com.
Who the hell are you?
whotostart.com. The Fantasy Football Blitz.
Who the buttons?
This is the Fantasy Football Blitz, powered by whotostart.com on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 104.5ESPN.com.
All right, let's get it. NFL Week 2 gets underway tonight. Eagles hosting the Vikings. Before you set your fantasy football roster, check with our guys at whotostart.net. Darin Tietgen joins us. How are you, dude?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks, Matt.
So our friend Musso here dug into the archives and answered our question from last week. 2012 is when you and I began this segment. How about that?
Okay, so we're going. This is 11. All right. I thought it was more like 12, but
well, maybe it was.
Time flies when you're having fun. Yeah.
Let's put it this way: the Open. He found the work parts of the Open that we just heard. That I did back in, and I did that back in 2012. So if we did the segment pre-Open, perhaps, but the Open has existed since 2012. It's probably time for a touch up on that as well. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's great. It gets me pumped up every Thursday.
All right, let's get into what we're looking for. As always, we start with Thursday Night Football, Vikings, Eagles. A lot of meat on the bone there, Darin. Who are we looking for tonight to have a big day?
Yeah, I mean, the usual suspects. Obviously, Jalen Hurts. He had a big game against the Vikings last year. I think he ran in a couple touchdowns. So expect him to have a big game. Obviously, his main two targets, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, should have big games. And then the other side of the ball, Justin Jefferson seems to get it done against anybody. I think the Eagles were without their number one corner. So look for Justin Jefferson to get loose, and it would be interesting to see what the Eagles do with their running game. Kenneth Gainwell's out, so it's going to be a mix of Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift. So we'll see who gets the most carries for the Eagles.
I know there's going to be many of these. So Aaron Rodgers done for the year. People who need a quarterback, what do they do?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a dire situation, obviously Garrett Wilson, not Garrett Wilson,
Zach Wilson.
Yes, Zach Wilson. Too many Wilsons. We'll step in.
Garrett Wilson's a good player. Zach Wilson, not so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, people have been asking what to do with Garrett Wilson now that he's, got a quarterback downgrade, but I think you still keep Garrett Wilson in your lineup. Quarterback-wise, I like Jordan Love. There's lots to love about Jordan Love this week. Good matchup against Atlanta. I mean, people are kind of ignoring he threw 3 touchdowns last week and has a good matchup. So there's some quarterbacks out there that you could reach out and get if you're in the pickle.
All right, let's get some questions. You know the drill. Fire away with your questions. You can email us. You can tweet us. You can jump in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat. You can text 225-396-4400, 396-4400. Let's start one from Nathan, who said, who to start? He said, is starting Dalton Kincaid this week in my flex too risky, or should I go with Jackson Smith and Jigba against Detroit?
Yeah, I think I'd go the wide receiver. Just because how Josh Allen looked last week and didn't really look Kincaid's way too much, at least from what I saw. So I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is probably a better bet just based on the matchup.
Brennan Thibodeau is who to start. Said he needs 2 of these 3, so I guess this is a who to sit. Flex position PPR. He's got David Montgomery, Kenneth Walker, Devontae Swift, and Kyron Williams.
I think you're sitting Kyron Williams. I don't want to say those touchdowns were a fluke, but Cam Akers did get a ton of carries last week, and I expect him to still be the leader in the Rams clubhouse in terms of the running back room. So I think Kyron Williams is probably your sit, although I wouldn't definitely not dropping him just because he's got some upside. But this week, I think you're sitting him out of that group.
Lance Traylor, is Sam Laporta a top 10 tight end for the rest of the season?
Top 10 might be a stretch. Probably right on that cusp there. Definitely looks good for a rookie tight end. Rookie tight ends usually struggle a little bit out of the gate, but he looked good. Jared Goff was looking his way quite a bit. Even in a kind of a tough matchup against KC. Maybe a top 10, but 10 or 11, somewhere in there.
You can get your questions in. You can text 225-396-4400, 396-4400. Rusty says, Dynasty League, is Zay Flowers worth pulling off the taxi squad?
Well, I mean, it depends on who he's going to be replacing him. If you already have studs at your wide receiver spot, you might as well just keep him on your taxi squad in Dynasty formats. But if you need the help, Zay Flowers is going to get looks. He looks pretty dynamic. Maybe not right out of the gate in the first couple of weeks, but down the stretch, he should definitely help you out.
Matty Ice, who to start, Kittle or Goddard?
I like Goddard tonight. Just the matchup's a little bit better. Kittle's been a little bit banged up. I'm not liking that matchup as much as Goddard. Kittle's still, definitely a solid play, but I think Goddard in what should be a shootout tonight is a better play there at the tight end spot.
Chris, who to start? RB2. He says Alexander Madison or Tyler Algier. And then he also says tight end TJ Hawkinson or Sam Laporta. So he snuck in a couple there for you, running back one and a tight end.
Yeah, definitely Hawkinson at tight end. And then your wide receiver, I'd probably go Madison there as well. I mean, the other Viking there, I think that, it's hard to say because Algier, got a lot of carries for the Falcons last week, but I think Bijan Robinson eventually starts getting the lion's share of carries there, and he could even start this week. So I think Madison's probably the safer play, but not a ton of upside out of Madison, but he should touch the ball quite a bit tonight.
Darin, got a couple of questions here about Tua. Jay is asking who to start, Lamar Jackson or Tua, and then Jason is asking Burrow or Tua. So let's take those one at a time. Yeah,
I think with Jackson, I think just because of the rushing upside, you play him over Tua, but just barely. I mean, Tua looks fantastic, and there's no thought that he's going to be slowing down on that offense. So I think you probably play Jackson over him just because of the rushing upside. But Burrow just looked off. I mean, obviously he was out for a good month from training camp in the preseason, didn't really get up to speed. So it might take him another week or two to really get rolling. So I think you might start Tua over Burrow.
All right, we got less than a minute. We'll see how many we can get in here. Darin Tietgen's with us, who2start.net. Donovan says Dallas Goedert or Hunter Henry.
Yep, going Goddard there. I like Henry. I think he was one of the best tight ends last week, but just too up and down in terms of production. I like Goddard in what should be a shootout here this evening.
Lorenzo, who to start, Daniel Jones or Jordan Love?
Oh, boy. Yeah, Daniel Jones looked pretty messy against Dallas. Obviously, the matchups will be easier this week, but I think you probably go with Love just by a hair there.
Tua or Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, you're going Tua there. I mean, look, Cousins is a safe bet for 250, 275 yards and maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns, but the upside with Tua is
gotta run. Darin Tietgen, who2start.net. We'll talk next week.
AFR.
All right, we're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge, online at southpointvw.com. Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. And, of course, for all of our friends in Lafayette listening on ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette, you got Southwest Volkswagen there. So many great deals always. I tell you all the time, because they move more inventory than any other Volkswagen dealer in the state, they can give you a better deal than any other Volkswagen dealer in the state. So check them out at southpointvw.com. Shop them online. I tell you all the time about the IIHS Top Safety Picks. It's the highest safety designation a vehicle can get. It's one of the things you can always rest assured. When you buckle yourself or your family in a Volkswagen, you have the peace of mind knowing you're driving one of the safest vehicles on the road. I know that's a tremendous value add for me personally, and primarily why Erica and I both drive Volkswagens. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. Southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what we're working on for our stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Sources tell the investigative unit the gun used in the deadly shooting at a St. Helena high school was traced back to Baton Rouge. It was a Glock with an extended clip. Sources also say the shooter had a court hearing today where a judge denied his bond. Students will go back to school Tuesday. You'll hear from the emotional school superintendent. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Deion Sanders. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel 100% infinitely you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The 1-0 Eagles play their home opener tonight against the 0-1 Vikings to kick off Week 2 in the NFL. Bears nickel corner Kyler Gordon goes on IR with a possible broken hand from Sunday's opener against the Packers. He'll be out at least 4 weeks. During his weekly radio show, Colorado State coach Jay Norvell said he's happy to see new Colorado coach Deion Sanders get an opportunity and that he respects all coaches and the sacrifices they make. But there was also this from Norvell.
I don't care if they hear it in Boulder. I told them I took my hat off and I took my glasses off, and I said, when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat and my glasses off. That's what my mother taught me. So, you know, they're not going to like us no matter what we say or do. It doesn't matter.
Jay Norvell on the Coors Light Jay Norvell Coaches Show, powered by Learfield. 18th ranked Colorado hosts Colorado State Saturday night, 10 Eastern on ESPN. New York Liberty GM Jonathan Kolb is the WNBA Executive of the Year.
How would you love a chance to save some money on car insurance? Geico can help. Switch today and see all the ways you could save with great rates and discounts. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com to get a rate quote and get started seeing how much you could save.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by the Aesthetic Medicine. Do we need to try it again? I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Muse. It's after 4:20 somewhere, Paulie. Got a little head start. Our guy got a little head start on us today there, Paulie. How about that? Muse, you all right over there? What happened?
I was talking to you before
and
I forgot to hit the Toby Tomplay thing. I got distracted, and we went old school on it there and just went Soundgarden the whole time.
I'm mad at it.
Little throwback. Little throwback Thursday, Matt. I mean, look, there you go.
Love the song.
Yeah.
So I picked it. Anyway. All right. Let's get rolling here. We are going to head to Starkville in about 12 minutes. Our buddy Steve Robertson will be here so we can preview LSU-Mississippi State, see how the week has gone for the Bulldogs. I haven't pulled any punches. Y'all know how I feel about this. I think this is a game where LSU physically outmatches Mississippi State. LSU's a better team, more talented team. They should go and win easily. It's why they're a 10-point favorite. But it's 11 a.m. in Starkville, and there's cowbells, and that's a team that's trying to beat you, and they got a good defense, and we'll see. So we'll check in with the Bulldogs here in about 12 minutes from right now. You just heard it in Sports Center there, if you were tuned in. Jay Norvell, the head coach at Colorado State, took a few shots at Deion Sanders. He was on his coach's show, Jay Norvell was, and said this.
And I sat down with ESPN today, and I don't care if they hear it in Boulder. I told them I took my hat off and I took my glasses off, and I said, when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat and my glasses off. That's what my mother taught me. So.
Oh, God. What an idiot. Okay. So, that was Jay Norvell on his coach's show, throwing a jab at Deion for wearing his hat and his glasses during interviews, which is maybe the dumbest thing ever, because I can find countless examples of coaches doing interviews on the field wearing a hat and glasses, but whatever. And this was the response at Colorado practice as this video is leaked. Here is Deion running some type of meeting here for his team out on the field, Coach Prime, and sort of mentioning the bulletin board material.
Yes, sir. I'm minding my own business, watching some film, trying to get ready, trying to get out here and be the best coach I could be. And I look up and I read some bull junk that Deion said about us.
Talk to us.
Once again,
Talk to us.
why would you want to talk about us when we don't talk about nobody? All we do is go out here, work our butts off, and do our job on Saturday. But when they give us ammunition, they done messed around and made it what? It was just going to be a good game.
And made this shit.
Made it personal. It was going to be a great test, a battle of Colorado, but they done messed around and made it personal.
You'll have to last year to guard.
That's Jimmy. Talk to him, Jimmy.
What Jimmy? Jimmy,
talk to him.
He's got them. That's fine. He's got them all chanting personal in unison. He's such a beauty. Oh, my God. It's so good. By the way, it's worth noting also, and some people are criticizing Norvell for this, he said when he met with reporters earlier this week, quote, "They've got a good football team, and their quarterback has been the difference. He's playing at a very high level. We're going to have to slow him down." As far as Deion, Norvell went on to say, quote, and this was at his Monday press conference when he talked to reporters. So this is before his coaches show. Quote, "Deion Sanders has a lot of public critics. I'm not one of them. I really respect all head coaches and the sacrifices they've had to make to become head coaches, and I appreciate the path they have to go through to get there, especially African-American coaches. I was happy to see Deion get his opportunity. I had to wait a long time to get mine," end quote. So that was earlier in the week. And then later in the week, he criticizes Deion for wearing a hat and glasses. I would just like to point out something that is very human. And when we talk about coaches shows, I reference this often, but this is a good time to point it out when it's not something that most of us are emotionally connected to, because most of us don't have an emotional connection to Colorado or Colorado State. Most of us don't care. Emotionally, I mean. We behave differently depending on our surroundings, right? You do not act the same in a boardroom as you do in a bar room. If you're at a Monday 9 a.m. meeting wearing a suit with other executives, you're going to behave differently than on Saturday at your tailgate. It's just how it is. That extends beyond the workplace. Look at social media. When you open up LinkedIn, that's essentially a job board. You're posting business content. You're going to approach it very differently than when you open up Instagram and you're posting your thirst trap, okay? It's just different. We behave differently in different scenarios. Same with coaches. Do you remember the week of the Florida State game, how Brian Kelly got in all this sort of hot water because he said, we're going to go beat the heck out of Florida State? Well, that was at his coach's show, which is basically a big old pep rally. Now, it's aired, but it's just a giant pep rally. It's the coach in a restaurant with the play-by-play guy and fans everywhere and callers and questions and all that sort of stuff. It's a pep rally. Remember what Brian Kelly said the Monday of the Florida State game about Florida State?
We know what's in store for us. It's an outstanding football team. Mike Norvell's done a great job in building this program back to, elite status.
Super complimentary. Not saying he's going to go beat the heck out of anybody. It's all about the setting, all right? So I'm not going to crush Jay Norvell for it. It would be hypocritical. It was, however, a very dumb thing to say because you don't need to give them any more motivation than they already have. And Deion's right. He ain't out there running his mouth about other teams. He's not. They're not. But they've been the center of a lot of conversation, justifiably so. Oh, by the way, Colorado's a 23.5-point favorite in that game. So maybe for Jay Norvell, it just doesn't matter. If he thinks, what the hell? Let's make a few headlines this week. It's not going to go well for our team either way. But for Colorado State, what great exposure for Colorado State. game day and Big Noon Kickoff are going to be in Boulder. Now, they're there to cover Colorado, but Colorado State is going to be a beneficiary of the windfall of attention being on a national platform as a result. All right, it's after further review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Thursday edition of AFR. Love telling you about Traction, TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com, Traction, where champions are made. Remember, Traction and Traction Physical Therapy. If you need PT, you choose your physical therapist. Go to Traction. When I had my knee surgery, I rehabbed at Traction. Great place, man. I mean, all of the latest, most advanced physical therapy technology and machines and techniques. I was phenomenal. And I was just a schmuck who tore his meniscus getting his kid out of the car. But if you need to rehab a surgery, or if you just need to get back in the game, hitting the links on the weekend, or if you're a swimmer, maybe you love to run, you got some injuries that you need to rehab. Traction Elite Physical Therapy, they're the best. If it's good enough for professional athletes to go rehab their injuries at Traction Elite PT, it's good enough for you and me for sure. TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made. If you go over to Traction Elite Physical Therapy, holler at Chad, who is a Bulldog. I regret to inform you. He will no doubt be sporting his maroon tomorrow. And I would very much look forward to LSU whipping Mississippi State so I can go over there on Monday and laugh at it. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break, y'all. We're glad you're here. When we come back, Steve Robertson jumps aboard with us. He covers Mississippi State for the Scout Network, Gene's page. So we'll talk to Steve Robertson when we come back. Glad you're here on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel. I had a gentleman text me on the show text line yesterday, said, Matt, took your advice. I went and ate at the Gregory inside of the Watermark in downtown Baton Rouge. Said the crab cake is one of the best he's ever had in his life. I'm telling you, whether it's the crab cake, appetizer, the duck entree. I'll just put it to you this way. Some people like duck, some people don't. If you like duck and you have not been to the Gregory inside the Watermark, you are missing most likely the best duck dish that you will ever have in your life. It's at the Watermark Hotel, downtown Baton Rouge. If you're worried about parking downtown, don't, because it's free valet when you're dining at the Gregory at the Watermark. Great place to go have a cocktail at their elegant lobby bar or a glass of wine before or after dinner. And, of course, the Gregory is a great spot for dinner. It's the Watermark Hotel in downtown Baton Rouge. Don't forget about the Renaissance right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
I'm pleased with how our teams competed. I mean, we challenged them that we needed to come out and play harder, faster, more aggressive, more physical and aggressive last week, and our guys did that. And the way that first half went, I'm really disappointed. It was not we didn't have a more commanding lead going into halftime, but I've already addressed that. I think quite a bit of that was more about decisions I made as the head coach.
It was Zach Arnett leading his Bulldogs into the conference opener against LSU this weekend. Let's head to Starkville. Our buddy Steve Robertson, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes. He's on Twitter at ScoutSteveR. And, of course, you can read his stuff there at Gene's page. Hey, Steve, we appreciate it as always, man. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great, Matt. Thanks for reaching out. I always can expect to get a phone call from you guys at least twice a year. Bulldogs and Tigers are playing in football and baseball. So
I love it, man. We always appreciate a couple minutes when we can get it. Hey, let me just start with Arnett and maybe compare, contrast, just how different the program feels. Not air raid aside, obviously, but I just mean the overall view of the program under Arnett as opposed to Mike Leach.
Well, there's a few things that I would say. The first thing, and even that clip that you played, Arnett is never going to throw a player or an assistant coach under the bus. And he takes responsibility for things a lot of times as a leader, even when he's not the person at fault. It's just like, I've asked him a couple times before about going zero coverage and getting burned, and he goes, and even if a guy makes a bad play, Arnett will say, well, I made a bad call there. And I think he's talking to his team through the media in many respects. But, at the end of the day, he's the guy, much like Leach, that believes the buck stops with him. And he believes in personal accountability. And when State played Southeastern Louisiana, as players were reporting, it wasn't some GA or some student assistant out there making sure guys were there on time. It was Zach Arnett, And so there's a lot of accountability within the program. And it all starts with Zach. And, I think that's, probably some continuity from the elite side of things, but Zach also gives, his coordinators autonomy. Even if he disagrees with a defensive call, he goes, I got to believe in my guy. And so he lets Brock make those calls, and they'll talk about it afterwards. But, it's a little different on offense. As you know, it's not quite as finesse as it was. It's a lot more blue collar and smash mouth. But I think LSU fans are expecting to see a replica of last week's offensive play calling will likely be surprised come Saturday.
Okay, so let's go there because that's been very interesting here to see. Just because you become conditioned, Steve, right, to what Mississippi State was with the air raid, and then you see 17 pass attempts, and it's like, what? So explain what led to that decision to only throw the ball so little against Arizona.
Well, some of that was kind of the looks they were getting on defense. There were a couple times, kind of some inside poker here, is there were about a half a dozen plays that were called pass, and Rodgers got to the line and liked the look of the defense, but not the play they had called, and so he audibles out of it. And, what will go 13 of 17, just 4 incompletions, and 2 of those 4 were the first 2 passes he threw. So once he got to those 2 completions, he put together, a 13 for 15 day with 3 touchdowns, so really efficient. But there were some opportunities in that ball game, especially in that second half. And I think that, State got a little bit too conservative. And I think I think what happens, success sometimes is the enemy of offensive innovation. It's like, oh, we're doing this and doing this. And so we were having so much success running the football that maybe we don't need to throw it as much and put it at risk. And so I think some of that happened. And the next thing you know, you look up and it's a tie ball game. Yeah. I think there was some offensive malaise in the second half, and I think you'll see a little more sense of urgency. But, you go back and look, there's 2 plays that prevented that game from being a blowout. The fumble on the end of the end zone on the first drive after State goes right down the field, and then that holding call that by Cole Smith that erased a touchdown by Woody Marks. They end up missing a field goal. That's 2 empty drives where they sustained some offensive success and came away with no points. And I think that's probably a bigger issue than play calling. Is that there were a couple drives they just couldn't finish.
Hey, Steve, where is is there an unquestioned strength of this offense?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's really to be determined. Woody Marks is the guy in many respects that stirs the drink, and that's the thing I said from the outset is nobody benefits more than a change in offensive philosophy than Woody Marks does, because we know what he can do as a receiver out of the backfield, but he's an every down back. He's not some guy that has to lead the field on third down. And so I think as Woody Marks goes, this offense is going to go. And, of course, there's a lot less decision-making on the shoulders of one Will Rogers, and so you feel like as they get a little bit deeper into the season, they'll kind of settle in. But I think Woody Marks is really the key because, he's kind of the tip of the sword. He's got to be the guy going out there getting 100-plus yards a ball game, I think, to really make this scheme go.
Flip it around. Where's the biggest question on offense?
On offense or defense?
On offense.
That's a good question. I would say, for this ball game is can State protect, right? I mean, it's like, yeah, you've got guys up there. You've got 5 guys that have got a ton of SEC snaps under their belt. But, LSU in the second half of that game last year, they really took over the line of scrimmage, especially on defense. And State couldn't do anything. I mean, people forget it was a 13-0 ball game until Jaden Daniels decided to play a little backyard football and basically wills them down the field to make it a 1-score game at the break. State's able to go up 3 scores in that game. It's a different conversation today and a much different parity in Atlanta last year. But I think the offensive line, as good as they are, can they match up skill to skill with that defensive line at LSU? And I think that's one of those things you look at even on paper and you say, you know what, this is going to be a real challenge.
And Steve Robertson's our guest. He's on Twitter at ScoutSteveR. Give him a follow. Gene's page if you want to go read his stuff. As I was asking that question, Steve, it sounded like you were ready to jump in and mention something defensively. What was on the tip of your tongue?
Oh, it's safety play.
Is the weakness defensively?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the front 6 are really good, and I think they'll make some plays. I think against this LSU offensive line, they'll take as well as they give. I think that'll be good. And of course, with Jed Johnson and Mookie Watson, what you've got there, the productivity you can expect from those 2 guys. But you lose the first-round draft pick last year in Emmanuel Forbes at corner, and then all 3 starting safeties are gone. And so you hit the portal hard, and I just don't think at this point that you've developed enough cohesion where you've got a ton of confidence against a very talented LSU wide receiver group. And, yeah, I know they're still kind of figuring some things out, but the pieces, the individual pieces there are very, very talented. And so, again, you kind of look at it on paper and you say, there are some things you can do schematically, but at the end of the day, at some point, you're going to get paired up man-to-man with a guy that's probably a little more talented than you. How are you going to handle it? I think that's the real challenge for this Bulldog defense is when they protect Jaden Daniels and he elects to go vertical, can they match up with LSU on the back end? I think that's a real challenge.
What about the third phase, Steve? How are the Bulldogs in special teams?
Really good in that respect. I mean, Kyle Ferry is a freshman, and they brought in Nicholas Barmira from UCLA, and he's had a hurt foot, and they have this freshman from Searcy, Arkansas that's come in, and he hooked one last week, but he's been outstanding. And the moment's not been too big for him. I'm eager to see what he does over the course of his career. You got 2 All-American returners back, and Xavion Thomas, a Louisiana native, and, of course, Tulu Griffin, who's kind of become kind of a household name in SEC circles. But, if LSU kicks ball in the end zone, I mean, it doesn't matter who's back there. But, Xavion is a pretty skilled punt returner that's been a little bit banged up. He had somebody step on a calf in practice and gashed his leg open and had to get stitches some time ago. And kind of came back a little bit before he was ready, and it opened up on him again. So they've been really careful with him the first 2 weeks, but we expect him to be pretty close to 100% on Saturday.
Steve, I saw on State's social media it's going to be a stripe out, so they're going to go section by section at Davis Wade and go maroon, white, maroon, white. What's the? I know it's 11 a.m., but LSU coming in, what's the general vibe there in Starkville this week?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people feel like the timing may help State a little bit. Now, when the schedule first came out, I think even the most loyal Bulldog fans said, hey, even though Alabama and LSU are at home, you're penciling in a loss there. I mean, just from a talent differential standpoint. But, when you look, and I didn't know this until last night myself when I did the research, in the last 8 games, and all of them happened under Mike Leach, in the last 11 a.m. kickoffs that involved Mississippi State, State is 7-1. They won 6 games in a row at 11. LSU was 1-1 last year at 11. They got blown out by Tennessee, and they nipped by Arkansas and scored 13 points in both games. Now, all of that in a buck will get you a cup of coffee at the truck stop, right? I mean, you don't know what that means ideally, but even Brad Kelly said on Monday, they're kind of evaluating what they're doing in pregame preparation to kind of get them going. I think that's a thing that I think is a real benefit for State. I mean, Arnett and this staff, they've already been through this for 3 years. They already have a system in place. Okay, how do we prepare for 11 a.m. game? So I don't expect there to be any change there. But I think it's rather interesting because it's so hard to get your crowd going at 11 a.m. But I think when you look at the numbers, State's done pretty well in that time slot. So there should be some measure of confidence, especially when LSU hadn't played as well earlier in the day.
Yeah, Steve, I'm curious if they're because my general sense from State fans was they would rather it at night. They'd have a home crowd advantage. Every time there's an 11 a.m. game announced for LSU, there's a collective gasp and sigh here because it's something that LSU used to play. I mean, you know this. You worked here. Like, they're used to playing at night. It's a very different thing when they play at 11 a.m. Like, it's hard to explain, but there is a collective feeling like, oh God, just get through this thing and get out of there when it's 11 a.m. So I mean, are State fans looking at it like it's a disadvantage playing early as opposed to night?
Well, I think that they see it as a disadvantage for their entertainment, right?
Got
as far
it.
as
Yeah, okay.
I would rather be on campus all day and tailgate and drink. Yeah, and I tell people all the time, of course, I was a season ticket holder at LSU for a year when I lived in Baton Rouge. And I tell people all the time, if you're a fan of college football, no matter your rooting interest, you've got to go to a night game at Tiger Stadium. It is the best environment in college football. And I've been all over this conference, and I'll just tell you, there's nothing better. And that's not patronizing. I lived in Baton Rouge for 16 years. I understand what my friends expect down there. But there's something special about playing a nighttime game at Tiger Stadium. Now, at Mississippi State, we like playing at night too. It's a little bit cooler. You got all day to kind of be on campus and enjoy your friends. But at the same time too, when you look at the recent trend of playing at 11, and this isn't just like you're playing, the Mississippi School of Math and Sciences. I mean, State's played 3 bowl games at 11 a.m. slot, and so whatever they're doing to get the team ready, I think is big. Now, at the end of the day, we go to a football game to enjoy ourselves, but you want them to win. And I think it shouldn't matter what time they kick off, whatever time slot gives your team the best advantage to win that ball game, that's what you should support.
He is Steve Robertson on Twitter at ScoutSteveR. Give him a follow, Gene's page, if you want to go read stuff this week, especially with the Tigers heading to Starkville. Always great to catch up, Steve. We appreciate a couple of minutes, man. Be well.
Take care, Matt.
Okay, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by DraftKings, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Week 2 kicks off tonight. Week 2 in the NFL kicks off tonight. Eagles, Vikings. If you want to bet on the game, of course you want to bet on the game. And we got Otter locks coming up later as well. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. If you are a new customer, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Make a $5 bet on the NFL, and they'll give you $200 in bonus bets instantly. Win or lose, no questions asked. Instantly, boom, $200 in bonus bets. That's when you use the promo code Baton Rouge. New customers at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Of course, every game day throughout September, I'll keep reminding you this, every game day throughout September, new or existing customers, the DraftKings Sportsbook app will have new bets and new wagers and new specials and promos in the app every single game day during September. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Make sure you check every single game day. Like right now, there's a cool refer a friend. I'm looking at the app right now. Check it out. It's there. Thursday night. You got a 50% boost tonight on the Vikings and the Eagles. You can opt in. Just go to the app, the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and use the promo code Baton Rouge. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football. Terms. License partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. All right, it's after further review. If you want to react to what Steve had to say there, fire away. Interesting. He said about the safety position being a problem at Mississippi State. And that kind of maps to the fact that Arizona went and threw for 350 in Starkville last week. The most interesting thing that came of that, though, was hearing Steve, to me anyway, was hearing Steve say that if you're expecting to see the offense this weekend that State ran last weekend, where you saw Will Rogers throw the ball 17 times, don't expect that. Okay. I would be stunned, quite honestly, if any offensive coordinator, especially in the Southeastern Conference, making the type of money that they do, would look at LSU on film and do anything other than throw the ball against this secondary. But I still have to go see that play out. I still have to see that manifest. Zach Arnett has coached 2 games. Well, I guess 3 with the bowl game. 3 games at Mississippi State. So what he's going to look like with this offensive staff and how he'll manufacture game, it's going to be interesting. So let's see. Does he want to lean on defense, running the football, shorten the game? Maybe. And if that's the case, it probably will look more like it did last weekend, but we shall see. Okay, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. We'll do our what to watch. Muse, Paulie, and I, 3 things we're looking for as we head into our football weekend. Stay with us here on AFR.
AFR.
You know, one of the things that sets Darin James apart, his ability to market your product and your home, your listing, like no other. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com. That's agent225.com. Darin, name another realtor that does daily live radio ads marketing his properties. Your home, there's one right here if you're watching on Darin's Facebook. It's on Garden Court in Gonzales. If I'm not mistaken, that's in Pelican Point. You can check it out right now on Darin's social media or at agent225.com. There's a reason Darin every single year is listed on the Wall Street Journal, is listed the top 1,000 realtors in America. This year, by the way, number 54 in the country right here in Baton Rouge. If you need to sell your home, why would you call anyone other than the best? 335-7666. Call Darin James. Get your home sold.
Think real estate. Think Darin James.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on select new 23 Ford F-150 trucks. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, in Baton Rouge. Operator, what you put me on through? Gotta send my love down to
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks
have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
104.5 ESPN and Citizens Bank and Trust are looking for the ultimate tailgate. Snap a pic of your setup and upload it to 1045ESPN.com for a chance to win a $500 Rouse's gift card. Our judges will select a winner on September 29th. It's the ultimate tailgate giveaway from Rouse's Market. Citizens Bank and Trust and 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
No need to do that because I win.
You don't have a tailgate.
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. It's the ultimate tailgate giveaway.
Who is the program director of this station?
Nope. You have to
I would like for you to
enter a
answer my
picture of a
question.
tailgate.
I would like for you to answer my question.
You are, but you have to enter a picture of a tailgate.
Who gets to determine the winner of this contest?
Promotions.
Me.
Promotions.
Let me remind you, the answer is me. So, yeah, you can go to the website, 1045ESPN.com. Right there on the homepage, you'll see the ultimate tailgate dealio there. But don't even bother, because I'm just gonna keep the $500 Rouse's gift card for myself. You know what? You know what I could buy with $500 at Rouse's?
A lot.
A
man.
lot.
And they always have great sales anyway, so it's even more.
Oh, I'm excited about it. So no need. You can go and upload your photo. But yeah, you're gonna lose. I don't care how good your tailgate is. I'm kidding. All right, fine. Whatever, Muse.
Rules are rules.
Whoever has the gold makes the rules. Whoever has the 4th floor corner office makes the rules. How about that, Muse? Muse, in my office after the show.
Sorry, I have somewhere to be.
And you're fired.
Okay.
that went over well. All right, let's do every Thursday. Muse, Paulie, and I tell you 3 things we're watching for the football weekend. Hit it.
Here's what we're watching this football weekend.
Insubordination, Muse. All right, what you got?
All right. It might be lipstick on a pig, but I want to see if Georgia gets off to another slow start. It doesn't matter. They're going to beat South Carolina. They're like a 30-point favorite in the game. But Georgia has scored all of 7 points in the first quarter this year against 2 bad teams, if we're being honest, in UT Martin and Ball State. Going forward, when they get into conference play, will that come to bite them? Are they more focused and get off to a better start is what I'm really interested to see this week.
You mean losing their quarterback and their offensive coordinator affected the offense?
Early.
Stunned.
I mean, they've scored 48 and 45 points, so it's just that slow start, man.
Paulie.
I'm looking to see if Texas will have the big game let down. They're playing Wyoming. They're a 30-point favorite.
Oh, Paulie.
Wyoming is 2-0. They beat Texas Tech in week 1.
Come on.
Will they have the big game let down? I don't think it will, but...
Well, yes, of course they will. They're not going to play the same level they did last week at Alabama with the same fire, but who cares?
Will they win by 30?
Wyoming has the chance to do one of the funniest things that has ever happened. I want to throw that out there.
That is so. If Texas is declared back, they go on the road and beat Bama by double digits, and then they come home and lose. Please let this happen.
I mean, it would be one of the greatest things.
Somebody get me a poo brown and pea yellow Wyoming shirt. I need it. If you have a Wyoming shirt, please give it to me. I want to wear it on tomorrow's show. You know I'm watching Iowa. I told you I'm going to do this all year. We're going to follow the yodeler with Iowa. Can they score? I don't even know who they're playing. I don't even know. I don't even care.
Oh, gosh, I saw it earlier.
I just wrote
Hold
it down.
on, I'll get it real quick.
We're watching Iowa. That's what we're doing. All right, next.
All right, let's move to the NFL here in Cincinnati. They start.
Iowa plays Western Michigan.
Okay.
If you can't score 25, well, they didn't score 25. You're not safe. All right, anyway, go ahead.
The Bengals, man, that was not good last week against the Browns. Now, for some reason, the Browns have owned Joey B, but he was not good. 82 yards. You got to throw for more than that. He got his hair cut. Thinks that might change some things. You're going against the Ravens, so tough start, man, for the Bengals. Really, just division. That's been a closely knit game. Obviously, the offense there in Baltimore. Very curious if the Bengals can bounce back. We all picked them to win the Super Bowl.
I ain't moving off that.
Me either. I'm just saying. I'm interested to see them bounce back.
Yeah. Paulie.
Welcome back, Zach Wilson.
Oh, what?
We all know Aaron Rodgers done for the season. Robert Saleh says Zach Wilson's the guy. They drafted him 2nd overall. Can you save your career? This is your last shot, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what he can do with the Cowboys.
This is your team. We spent all offseason trying to find your replacement, bringing in a Hall of Famer to have it not be your team. This is your team.
Speaking of letdowns,
unless if somebody else is out there that would like to play quarterback for this team. This is your team. Unless Tom, would you? No, Zach, this is your team. Matt Ryan on 2.
No, he didn't want to either.
Zach, this is your team. Jameis, anybody. Get me anybody. How about this? The Indianapolis Colts are playing at the Houston Texans. One of the 2 first-round draft picks, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, will get their first career win on Sunday when the Colts play at the Texans. That's notable.
I like it.
There you
go. Obviously, the situation at Michigan State, Mel Tucker suspended. You have the interim coach in there. That always can go one of 2 ways, right? Now, this is a little different because Mel Tucker didn't get fired for poor performance. He's just suspended, and normally you get the interim bump there. But you have Washington coming in. This would have been a really interesting game. East Lansing's not an easy place to play. Obviously, Washington would have won. How does Michigan State come out? Do they get that interim bump potentially in that game?
No. They stink.
We'll see.
I'm watching Dolphins Patriots. A Dolphin offense with Tua and Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. There were a lot of people's sleeper pick this year. So
They're my pick to win the division.
If that offense can keep it up.
I have Miami winning the division. How good did that offense look on Sunday?
It looks good. That pick looks really good right now.
And now no Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah. Josh Allen stinks.
And Josh Allen and the Bills are already in the hole. Losing at home to the Jets. Without Aaron Rodgers.
4 interceptions.
He stinks.
Not good.
I'll see your Bengals Ravens, and I will raise you Chiefs Jaguars.
Good one.
We all know Kansas City lost their season opener a week ago tonight. Now they have to go on the road to Jacksonville. One of the reasons when we talked about Jacksonville maybe being a wild card team, I get it, that their division is what it is when you win the division, you have to play first place schedule. That means teams like Kansas City and Cincinnati rotated on for Jacksonville. Very difficult schedule. Well, now here you're looking at the situation where Jacksonville won week 1. Kansas City lost. If Jacksonville wins at home, they bury Kansas City in a 2-game hole in the AFC. I'll remind you, end of the season, like we're talking about, one team gets a bye and one team gets home field advantage. And I would venture a guess that be it Buffalo in January, Cincinnati in January, Kansas City in January, it's going to matter. In a very tough AFC. This is an early pendulum game where if you're Kansas City, you better get right, because in that AFC, is it plausible to think that whoever wins that conference, or whoever's the 1 seed, could be 13-3 or 14-3, 13-4? Like, you put yourself in a 2-game hole, you're not leaving yourself a lot of margin the rest of the way. It's a huge game in week 2 for Kansas City. All right, that's what we're watching. Of course, we'll come back on Monday and recap everything that we were looking for in the football weekend. Glad you're with us. Week 2 of the NFL starts tonight. It is the Eagles and hosting the Minnesota Vikings. Of course, the Vikings were a disappointment week 1, losing at home to the Bucs, who were trying to tank. Baker Mayfield took the Bucs into Minnesota and beat the Vikings. Now you got this quick turnaround on the road tonight against the Eagles. So we'll see how it goes. Tough sledding for Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us here. Brought to you by Hudco Roofing. HudcoRoofing.com. Oh, I saw this earlier today, y'all. We've been telling you for weeks and weeks and weeks, if not months and months and months, about fortified roofing. And our state, of course, passed in the most recent legislative session fortified roofing legislation. We now know that the Louisiana grant program for fortified roofs is beginning October the 1st. There's roughly 132,000 Louisiana homeowners who are going to be eligible for $10,000 grants to strengthen your roofs with a fortified roof. So you can learn more online. If you want to apply for that grant, you can do it through the insurance commissioner's office. There's a lot of different ways you can find it. But anyway, you always go to Hudco Roofing. We can help you through this process. HudcoRoofing.com. We got people who are insurance experts and professionals on staff that'll help you with your claim and getting your fortified roof and everything. So go to HudcoRoofing.com. Fill out the form on the main page right there. If you want to learn more about fortified, when you go to the homepage, just click the green fortified button, and it'll tell you more about what a fortified roof is. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. That's Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Muse will have Tigers in the pros when we come back. Ryan Clark in 15 minutes. Mike Triplett next hour as well. Brian Kelly set to meet with the media here in a little more than a half an hour, so any updates and tidbits coming out of that we'll get to. Jimmy will be with us at the end of the show for Otter Locks. We'll get a pick on Thursday Night Football. We got a ton to do. Where you going? Buckle up. Turn it up. We ain't going nowhere. It's AFR.
AFR.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what we're working on for our stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Sources tell the investigative unit the gun used in the deadly shooting at a St. Helena high school was traced back to Baton Rouge. It was a Glock with an extended clip. Sources also say the shooter had a court hearing today where a judge denied his bond. Students will go back to school Tuesday. You'll hear from the emotional school superintendent. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can lease a new Toyota 4Runner for $489 per month. That's right, you can get a brand new 2023 Toyota 4Runner for $489 per month. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade, time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me, like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
They got semaglutide, by the way. You've been hearing about it, wondering about it. Inquire about it at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, online, theantiagingclinics.com. Okay, wrapping up hour number 2. Ryan Clark, a little more than 10 minutes from right now. Mike Triplett next hour. Right now, Musso has Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Alrighty, start Thursday Night Football. Get you a little preview there. Obviously, heavy LSU presence on the Minnesota Vikings. Danielle Hunter is on that squad, but all eyes will really be on Justin Jefferson tonight. Jefferson going back up against Darius Slay. Last year in Week 2, Darius Slay got more than the better of Justin Jefferson, only allowing 6 catches on 12 targets and holding him under 50 yards in that ball game. So Jets will be out for some revenge tonight. We will see if he can get that done. Major League Baseball action from last night. Alex Bregman made the most of his one hit. It was a solo home run in the third inning, part of back-to-back home runs, actually, following up a Yordan Alvarez blast. Bregman turns on it, drives it deep into the Crawford box. 1 for 3 in the ballgame last night. Astros, I just missed out on a combined no-hitter, but did get the victory. Major League Baseball action to keep an eye on tonight. Kevin Gausman on the bump for the Blue Jays, going for win number 12. He's 11-8 with an ERA just under 3.3. Struck out 217 and 167 in the third innings pitched. Been another really solid year for Kevin Gausman. Minor league action from yesterday, AAA baseball. Michael Papierski, really solid day for him. Playing first base, Pap, for the Toledo Mud Engine. They have moved him everywhere this year. 2 for 2, a double, his 14th, and a triple, his first triple of the season for Pap. Scored a run.
Pap got a triple?
Pap got a triple.
That's got to be the first of his life.
Definitely the first of the season. We just said, I don't know about first of his life. You don't think like a young Michael Papierski in like Little League?
No, he scored.
That's a good point. I didn't take into account the inside the park homer there. Yeah.
No way you're stopping at third.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think of it. Maybe an agile Pap freshman year of high school, getting a triple there.
Let's see. Pap.
I don't recall one at LSU.
In his LSU career, batted .246 with 17 doubles, 15 homers, 69 RBI, 61 run scores, 76 walks, a .389 on-base percentage, and no triples.
I don't recall one.
First of his life.
Okay, first of his life. Part of it 2 for 290. He also drew a walk. Cam Sanders.
Call him up, cowards!
Yes, he got the save last night for the Iowa Cubs, his 5th save of the season. Pitched the final 2/3 of the game. Punched out 1, didn't allow a hit or a run. Again, save number 5. For what it's worth, just some housekeeping. Jake Slaughter, the baseball player,
center
not
for Florida?
the center that is at Florida currently. The guy in Triplett who played baseball at LSU.
Same
he
guy.
has landed on the 7-day injured list. Stop. It has they're not related. It is a coincidence. They are different people. He hurt. He's just hurt. That's it.
What's hurt?
I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But he's on the
How'd he get hurt? He flew down to Gainesville, played in that game on Saturday, got a little dinged up. They put him on the 7-day DL, get him right again.
It's not what happened.
It is what
They're
happened.
different people in Target. That's Tigers in the
It's
pros.
100% the same person.
Nope.
What's his name?
That doesn't mean anything.
What's his name?
People have the same name all the time.
I asked you a question.
His name is Jake Slaughter.
Got
but
it.
people
Jake
have
Slaughter.
the same name all the time.
Tigers in the Pros is presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Wonder if Jake Slaughter's engaged. Let's call Gainesville and ask him.
It's not him.
LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. You want to thrill her? Gentlemen, you want to thrill her with a gift in the red box? Lee Michaels, sure to make her smile and you a hero. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Okay, it is after further review. Knocking out our top of the hour break here. Excited to have Ryan Clark with us. Jumps aboard every single Thursday. We talk a little LSU football with RC. Obviously does an awesome job with the NFL with ESPN. And Mike Triplett talking some Saints in about 20 minutes from right now. Ton to do. Glad you're here. Hour 3 of AFR straight ahead.
AFR.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. Shout out to my guy Martin over at Shawbills who dropped off the new Shawbills lid today. It's kind of a throwback logo on it as well. And Paulie, can you see it right there? Check that out. ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com, where they will always sell you name brand tires at wholesale prices. Michelin, BF Goodrich, Firestone, Bridgestone, the best tires on the road. If you buy tires at Shawbills and you find that tire advertised somewhere cheaper, they will refund you 125% of the difference. There it is. Check out that hat right there at Shawbills. Part of the Charlie's Dozen. You want to learn more, go to ShawBillsTire.com. You want to find that location nearest you, go to ShawBillsTire.com. You want to shop tires, schedule service, ShawBillsTire.com. Yeah, they'll sell you tires, but they'll also handle all of your vehicle maintenance as well. It's at Shawbills for more than 50 years. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Week 2 in the NFL kicks off tonight in Philadelphia. The Eagles playing their home opener against the Minnesota Vikings. ESPN's Todd Archer reports Cowboys wideout Brandon Cooks has a slight knee sprain, but may be able to play Sunday against the Jets. Also on Sunday, the Bills will host the Raiders. That'll be Buffalo's home opener after their Monday night loss to the Jets. Bills quarterback Josh Allen turned the ball over 4 times Monday night. ESPN's Dan Orlovsky.
Someone's going to have the courage to sit there and go, Josh, we got to grow up. You're one of the best players in the league. You are unquestionably our best player. But when we get reckless with the football, we hurt our football team, and that has to stop.
Dan Orlovsky on Get Up. The Red Sox fire Chief Baseball Officer Chaim Bloom today after 4 years on the job. In those 4 years, Boston finished last twice and could finish there a third time. Baseball today, the Brewers over the Marlins 4-2 in Milwaukee. Tyrone Taylor drives in 2. Tigers beat the Reds 8-2.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
So. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. 5 o'clock, quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us, and glad to be joined by the one and only Ryan Clark.
It's time to talk Tigers with former LSU safety Ryan Clark.
RC, what's good, man?
What's up, brother? Doing the same thing I was doing last week, driving to the airport.
Where are we flying to this weekend? I'm trying to get the Arizona State schedule up. Where are you?
Arizona, going to Phoenix.
All right, going to Phoenix. Hey, eventually, obviously, you're going to run back into Coach Prime. And I went and looked it up because I missed the episode when y'all published it. But you guys on the Pivot talked to Deion about 6 months ago. Now, with the benefit of hindsight, anything in that conversation that resonates now, considering what that team has become in relative short order?
I think the first thing was his belief in what he had going on. I think secondly, it was the way he spoke about his support staff. You know this better than I do, or as well as I do. Head coaching is not just about X's and O's. It's about leading men. It's about surrounding yourself with the right people. His offensive coordinator was a head coach at Kent State who decided that instead of being a head coach at Kent State, being the offensive coordinator for Deion Sanders at Colorado would be better for his career. the coach that helps run his team, Coach Kelly, is the same man that drove from Baton Rouge to Marrero, Louisiana, to watch a skinny kid that played safety for Archbishop Shaw High School practice and do one-on-one so he can offer him a scholarship. And he's been at all of these other different universities and learned how to coach, learn how to maneuver at Power 5 schools. He's just surrounded himself with great people. Your defensive coordinator comes from working under Nick Saban. Deion Sanders doesn't walk around like he knows everything. He's actually humble enough, even though I already know it's a strange dichotomy to say Deion Sanders and humble in the same sentence. But he's humble enough to know what he doesn't know and know that he can empower these kids through belief, but also surrounded himself with the right people and has empowered them to do their jobs without being micromanaged. And I think when you watch this team play, they're disciplined, they're well coached, but they have fun. They have a good time and they believe. And I think those things resonate with me more than anything. And I think the other piece of it is he calls all of those dudes on the team his kids, and when they showed his speech, and I know everybody's going to be like, oh, Ryan Clark's bringing race into it again. This time it's a good thing. When they showed his speech, I couldn't help but smile at all of the kids who were non-black players. Because when Deion Sanders said, when they talk about my family, when they talk about my babies, it makes it personal. And every single one of you are my kids. That spoke volumes to me. Because when he said that, they all believed it. They all felt that. They all went out and played that way. That resonated with them. And that sort of connection with a group of individuals in the locker room is rare, but when you find it, you have a great thing because everyone's tied in for one reason, and that's to win.
Yeah, RC, people oftentimes mistake confidence for arrogance. I don't think Deion's arrogant. Look at the way he works. If you were arrogant, you wouldn't think you need to work. I mean, the way I said this enough, RC, to the audience here, Deion got the job at Jackson because he's Deion Sanders. It was a brilliant play by them. He got the job at Colorado because dude can flat out coach.
Well, hey, you know what, Matt? I never really heard anybody say it, but that's actually the truest thing you've ever said.
Ever?
That's what happened. That's the truest. That's the truest.
Okay.
Because it is. It was Deion Sanders could bring a level of attention to Jackson State that Jackson State needs, right? That the whole entire swag needs. But he got hired at Colorado because they believed he could do the job, and so far, so good.
He's on Twitter at RealRClark25, but you know that. Ryan Clark, you see him everywhere, NFL Live, inside the NFL, which is awesome too, by the way, RC. I'm loving it.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, let me ask, and of course, the Pivot. Y'all check out the Pivot. Subscribe up on YouTube. We got you here because I want to talk LSU, of course. Last week was a decidedly somber conversation after the Florida State loss. They beat Grambling. Now you have a different type of challenge going on the road to Mississippi State. RC, is it possible to think that this defensive backfield can continue to improve as the season goes along?
Yes, it is. It is. Because the defensive back play is about cohesion. Defensive back play is about chemistry. Defensive back play is about communication. And if coached correctly, which this team will be, I wholeheartedly believe that you can play better. Now, sometimes, though, like guys are just more talented than other people. You know what I mean? And I saw your clip when you spoke about the rest of the season and having opportunities to win, against anyone else who was on the schedule. I believe that's true. We may have already played the best receiver we'll see the entire season in week 1 against the Florida State Seminoles. That kid's going to be a first-round draft pick. And so I believe that this team can get better. I believe they are talented in some spots, but I just can't help but remember what it looked like when Pat Peterson played.
Yeah.
Or even though a middle school young man, when Tyrann Mathieu was there, or Mo Claiborne, or Derek Stingley, Grant Delpit, the list goes, Tre'Davious White, Jamal Adams, the list goes on and on. I believe that they were well coached because I was in the meeting rooms with Corey Raymond. I know how much he harped on communication. I know how much he harped on technique. I know how many times he came over to traction just to watch me train so he could learn new drills, learn new things. But I also knew what those dudes were made of. I also knew who the hell they were when they were recruited. And when they were recruited, everybody in the world wanted them because they were that dang talented. And so there are still going to be some weeks we run into people that are just better, but I do believe that I can continue to see them grow as a group and play better football than we saw them play week one.
RC, specifically with Mississippi State, when you go from air raid, which Mike Leach was, to now a more traditional style offensively, how does that look for this defense matching up against what they will see as opposed to what they would have seen prior?
So I will say this. The one thing about the air raid was it was very simple. So from a mental standpoint, from an alignment, assignment, and adjustment standpoint, it was actually pretty easy. It was just when they had really good players, you couldn't stop it because it was so fast. It was always attack, 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 and they were going to push the football down the field. I can't remember what year that was. Was it 2020?
2020, yeah.
When they came here and we thought old boy was going to win the Heisman, but he got benched like 2 weeks later or something like that.
It was KJ Costello, yes.
Yeah.
He threw for 600 yards.
Right, I thought he was going to win the Heisman. I was like, man, this dude is amazing. And like 2 weeks later, I think it was like, it may have been Greg Brooks. Greg Brooks picked him. Some other guys picked him at Arkansas. Yeah. It was like a slaughter. And so it's a little more, it's a little easier to deal with mentally. And so now when you go to a more traditional offense, there are easier adjustments off of it. There are audibles and checks that you can make based off of what the defense does. But this offense isn't explosive though, right? Like they're getting turnovers and playing in tight games down the stretch on their home field. Yeah. And so I just feel like we should go there. We should win. I believe we'll play extremely well. And sometimes you need the last 3 quarters of a Grambling State, even though you're only doing what you're supposed to do, just to get things rolling, just to feel good about yourself. It's like when Steph Curry's cold and you foul him like a dummy and put him at a free throw line and let him shoot 2 free throws and not touch the rim at all because it's going all net.
Yeah.
And then now he moves out and hits those 3-pointers. I'm hoping that can be the effect in the last 3 quarters of Grambling.
You went Steph Curry. I was kind of hoping you'd go your movie reference there, movie plot reference on.
You know what? I didn't really have a movie reference for that one. That was all football. I think right now my problem is I have so many jobs. I don't even get to watch movies.
I was gonna are you watching movies on the plane?
I don't. You know what I watched on the plane last night? I watched Indianapolis, Jacksonville. I watched Seattle, Los Angeles. And the man next to me goes, he's like, "Hey, sir, do you play football?" I was like, "No, sir, I don't play football anymore." He's like, "Well, do you work for one of the teams?" I was like, "No, sir, I work on TV." I was like, "I used to play, though." Because I'm sure he was trying to figure out, why is this dummy watching football games?
Old football games that are not live.
You know what I'm saying? He's like, this dude's dumb.
Stewardess. He is Ryan Clark. Follow him everywhere. You know where to find him. Make sure you go subscribe up to the Pivot as well on YouTube. RC, we always appreciate you, man. Thank you. Safe travels.
Oh, man, have a good one, brother.
All right, be well. That is the one and only Ryan Clark. I mean, y'all, I don't know if y'all the Inside the NFL on the what happened Monday night is incredible. Like the way that they chronicled. If I look, you can go follow RC's Twitter or whatever. He's got the video link, but the clip from Inside the NFL where starting with the emotion of Aaron Rodgers on 9/11 running out at MetLife Stadium with the American flag to 4 plays into his season, done to all that went through the Jets coming back, giving up the lead, allowing the Bills to force overtime on a doink field goal that goes in, and then the punt return for the touchdown was incredible. So anyway, Inside the NFL is awesome. It's legendary. I mean, it's Inside the NFL. So it's awesome. They're doing a great job. Appreciate RC for carving out time. Okay, quick break. Mike Triplett next. We'll talk some Saints and Panthers. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. You know where to find them. I tell you every day. Segan near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. 4 locations of Clegg's Nursery. And right now, y'all, it is an awesome time to get by Clegg's because they've got all of the fall decor there. You can go to their website or go to their Facebook page. You can check out the ad in the paper this week, but Clegg's right now, they've got the pumpkins, they've got the hay bales, they've got the squash, the gourds, the corn stalks, the scarecrows, tuned wind chimes. They've got it all. If you're looking to go decorate for this fall season, for Halloween, that patio, the back porch inside your home, Clegg's has got you covered with everything you need at great prices as well. It's at Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, I tell you every single day. Buy local, shop local, tell them Matt sent you into Clegg's Nursery.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on select new 23 Ford F-150 trucks. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Mike! Yeah?
Saints coverage with some Mad Libs mixed in.
Why don't you just go by Mike?
It's time to talk black and gold with Mike Triplett of New Orleans Football, presented by Benny's Car Wash, family owned and operated since 1951.
All right, let's get it. Mike Triplett, New Orleans Football, joins us every Thursday, courtesy of our friends at Benny's Car Wash. How are you, man?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing very well. Before we preview Carolina, I want to have a quick look back at week one. Look, a win is a win is a win in the NFL, of course. What was your biggest takeaway from the week one win in the Dome?
Well, the funny thing is, so we do this thing called 3 up and 3 down, and we all had this list of like 14 players we were up on and only a couple down. So you would think the score wasn't 16-15, but I mean, everyone on defense played lights out. Derek Carr, made the plays he had to make. All 3 receivers of the top 3 receivers you feel really good about. But the run game was really disturbing, and obviously Trevor Penning and the pass protection really struggled. And so this would have been a really, really tough loss to take with like four takeaways if they had not pulled out the victory. But yeah, you get the win, you feel really good about it. I mean, I said I'm sure on your show last week, because I said it everywhere, that I wouldn't have even given either of these teams any points. I thought it was a pretty evenly matched game, and it certainly played out that way. This was a real opponent, they say.
I got to ask you about Trevor Penning, who I'm sure was on the not good. You're a good person, a good resource to tap into this because you've covered the team for so long. But give me some context on his struggles week one and how he might be able, like a reason for optimism that he might actually be able to work through this.
Yeah, I mean, left tackle's a tough position. It's a position where guys don't necessarily always start in week one. One of the best left tackles that's ever come through here, Teron Armstead, did not get the start until week 15 of his rookie year, and he gave up some sacks in that first game. Now, obviously, I'm not exonerating him by saying that's what always happens, but they had the second-round pick, Charles Brown. I remember he took a little while. Jamal Brown was an early first-round pick who got to play early, but it's a position where it doesn't happen overnight, and it is. If you're looking for the optimism, it's his second career start. I mean, his entire rookie season was wiped away, and all of OTAs and minicamp were wiped away this year by injuries. So there's inexperience, there's catching up to game speed, not to mention that he came from Northern Iowa in the first place. So all of that is to be expected. What was disturbing is just, we saw it in the preseason. He's struggling with speed rushers, and just to have a speed rusher just, tee off on him over and over again without him seeming to have a counter punch was really disturbing. But, it can only go up from here. The talent, the massive size, the physicality. He did play pretty well in that other start at the end of last season. So there are still reasons to be optimistic, but the question is, how quick does it get here, and how big of a problem does this remain? Because that's not a position you can mess around with.
Well, another first-round pick that has been disappointing, mostly due to injuries, is right back where we all anticipate he would be with Peyton Turner, unfortunately. So Peyton Turner's out. What do you make of what the Saints did to try to supplement there this week, and what options might still be ahead?
Yeah, I still like the depth as it is now. If you can go into every game with what you have now, Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson starting, Tano Passanio coming off the bench, Brian Brzee playing in that NASCAR package that sometimes Peyton Turner would have played in. Now Brzee, a tackle, can play in it. This speeds up Isaiah Foskey's curve. I think he's the same conversation that we're having about Trevor Penning right now. He's not there yet, but can he get there quickly if he gets the snaps? But yeah, they certainly can't afford to lose another body there now. And the thing about Peyton Turner was, the production has never been there consistently for him, so it's not like they lost these 12 sacks that they were counting on that they've had before, but optimism was really high. He looked really good all season. I disagree with the premise that we all knew he was going to end up here. I mean, sometimes injuries, it's the same injury over and over again. With him, it was a little bit of bad luck, and now it's turf toe. It just really stinks. He had stayed healthy the entire offseason. I thought he was going to be a productive member of this group. So I like their top 3 there. I like that they have already tried to replace Peyton Turner by drafting a guy with the 40th overall pick this year, and he'll be part of the mix now. But it's frighteningly thin now. They can't afford any more.
Just to clarify, when I said we all knew he'd end up here, whenever we saw the reports about turf toe and the surgery, that he was going to go to IR, and you're going to have a solution now until week 11, week 12.
At the earliest, probably. I think Trevor Penning played in his first game in week 12 last year, and he got hurt at the end of the preseason, and they compared it to that. So, hopefully in December, but potentially not at all this season.
On Twitter at Mike Triplett, of course, NewOrleans.football. Check out all the content there. Our chats every Thursday with Mike are brought to you by Benny's Car Wash. So they turn the page to Monday Night Football, and they go up to Carolina. They lost there a year ago in a really weird game before they went to London, as we all remember. What? How do you feel generally about this team? It's not generally, but going to Carolina and facing Bryce Young, a rookie quarterback, in his home opener, first time on Monday Night Football. Just the whole circumstance surrounding this game.
Well, it's funny. When the schedule came out, we did a podcast the day before the schedule came out, and we said, pick the ideal home opener, And I said, I kind of think maybe at Carolina would be the best way to open the season before they get their footing, before they become what they could become, because obviously it's still a really talented defense, and that it's a really good defensive front with Brian Burns and Derek Brown and old friend Shy Tuttle. They won't have J.C. Horn on that defense, but I think they could be real competition in the division if they come along at a faster pace than expected. But they totally rebuilt the offense. Bryce Young is not only a rookie quarterback; he's a rookie quarterback surrounded by no proven talent anywhere practically. So I think it's a good time to get that team. And then I feel that way even more so after watching them in week one. They struggled quite a bit against Atlanta. So it feels like the right time to get them. But it's never that easy going into Carolina in week 2 on a Monday night. The Saints always stink when they go into Carolina in September, it feels like. So you'd like to be able to steal this one while Carolina's not ready to win. It's a game they should win. I feel even better about the matchup than I did about last week's matchup, but it's never easy to go on the road in Monday Night Football in week 2 against anybody. But it's an opponent, especially with J.C. Horn out. They better take advantage of that.
The Saints are a 3-point favorite in this game. Is there a matchup on Monday night that you think is a problem for New Orleans?
Yeah, I mean, other than Trevor Penning and Brian Burns, which we kind of just talked about. The run game and the Saints offensive line really stunk in the first game. Not only was Derek Carr under constant pressure, but they couldn't run at all. And so it just felt like they were in 3rd and 10 the entire game, if not 3rd and 12 and 3rd and 15. And now they're going up against another good defensive line. So whatever they figured out that they weren't doing in the run game, they got to figure out in a hurry. Now, I think they should have the players to do that. Eric McCoy and Cesar Ruiz and James Hurst and Ryan Ramczyk. It's the starting 5 they want to have out there. They're all healthy. They've all been together all month. So, some of that is week 1 problems, but some of it is it better be a skill set they're better at. Kendry Miller is back in practice today. I don't know if he'll be able to play or if he'll be full speed. Obviously, Alvin Kamara won't be back, but that run game against Carolina's front has to be better than it was last week.
He is Mike Triplett, again, NewOrleans.football, on Twitter at Mike Triplett, or X, whatever you want to say, at Mike Triplett to follow all this stuff there. Give me a key, Mike. I know we just talked about the matchup that may be a problem, but what do the Saints have to do to go win the game aside from, score more points?
Yeah, well, they have to not let Carolina score at all. The Saints defense was so good in week 1, and now they're playing a much less established offense. They can't let Bryce Young feel comfortable. They need to make him feel they need to do the same thing. Stop the run with Miles Sanders, the veteran, so that this game has to be in Bryce Young's hands. And maybe he'll look like 15-year veteran Ryan Tannehill if that happens. I was stunned that the game was in Ryan Tannehill's hands, so they'd love to put the ball in Bryce Young's hands. And then on the other side of the ball, Derek Carr throwing to all 3 of those receivers was 3 pluses across the board. Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, and Rashid Shaheed, and now they lose their number 1 corner as you go into this matchup. They got to take advantage of that matchup as well.
Bombs away, for sure. Mike Triplett's with us every single Thursday. Mike, we appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, be well. Our chats with Mike are brought to you by Benny's Car Wash, bennyscarwash.com. I can't sing their praises highly enough. Go to bennyscarwash.com. That's bennyscarwash.com. Click the Car Washes tab right there, and you can see how you can get their membership. The Express Wash membership is $16.99 a month. That's what I pay. So it's just like it's an auto draft, and I can run through the car wash as many times a week or a month as I want. It more than pays for itself. And then there's times where I want the interior done. You just upgrade on that one pass-through, and you get the interior done as well. Benny'sCarWash.com. And the other thing, too, what's crazy, is you get up to 30% off per gallon of gas when you go to the B-Quicks that are attached to the Benny's. So, I mean, I drop off Drew at school. I come up Airline in Baton Rouge, and there's a Benny's and a B-Quick right there. So normally that's all pull in, get the gas, you punch in your code, they apply your discount, 30 cents off per gallon. That adds up. It's Benny's Car Wash. Benny'sCarWash.com. Benny'sCarWash.com. Great sponsors of our segment with Mike Triplett every Thursday here on AFR. We appreciate it. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Glad you're hanging out here on this Thursday edition of AFR. Brian Kelly set to be meeting with reporters right about now, as a matter of fact. So if as updates from BK's media availability trickle out, we'll share them with you when we come back. We'll give you a preview of Thursday Night Football with the Vikings at the Eagles and Otter locks in 15 minutes. So, of course, Jimmy's with us every day and gives you his best bet of the day. You better believe he'll have Thursday Night Football action tonight. Man, maybe even on the college game. Jimmy and his band of merry handicappers were in fuego last year in the NFL, and we'll see what he's already off to a hot start this year. We'll see what he's got for tonight's ball game. That's coming up in 15 minutes. Okay, stay with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. I want to remind you, all throughout this year, at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, they are giving away every week autographed football signed by members of the G team. So that's Garrett Nussmeier and Emory Jones and Mason Smith and Greg Brooks. So go to their social media at Get Gordon, and you'll see the photos and the posts of how you can enter to win an autographed football by members of the G team every single week all throughout the year. And then they announce their winners on Monday each week throughout the year. So, of course, as we say all the time, if you've been injured it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Get Gordon and get it done. So call 888-8888. That's 888-8888. They got offices in every market in Louisiana, so no matter your area code, 888-8888, or go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Not concerned about the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they will figure it out. When you're 1-0 and you can do some film study, it's always better than when you're 0-1. And coming out of that halftime locker room, it was pretty clear they knew they were in a fight against Bill Belichick. They knew they had their hands full, and they responded. Went on the road in Foxborough, and to do it when you're not playing your best football offensively was really a resilient job of coaching and playing, and I thought they did a good job. Now I want to see how they respond, and I think they'll be all right against the Vikings. I really do. Vikings never play well in Philadelphia. I like the Eagles in this game quite a bit.
That was Sal Palantonio on Greeny here on ESPN Radio. Likes the Eagles to bounce back. Of course, the Eagles did win Week 1. That is worth noting. But it was certainly not a resounding win there in New England. Just 25-20, a rainy day. They were honoring Tom Brady, if you were watching that game. On the flip side, Minnesota opened up their season right after winning 13 games a year ago, where they were just masterful in closing out games and winning close games. They lost at home to a team that's actively trying to lose. Tampa Bay won that game 20-17 in Minnesota, and I'm not trying to be funny or facetious. Like, Tampa Bay is trying to lose. I mean, Tom Brady retired. Their window with Tom Brady closed. They have a 1-year stopover here with Baker Mayfield coming in and Kyle Trask. They'll figure out how to get through this season, whatever, and then they're going to try to draft Caleb Williams next year, first overall. And I respect. I respect what they're trying to do. They're having a long-term. They're having a 10-year view instead of a 10-game view. So I don't hate that at all. I mean, I've told y'all I actively rooted for the Saints to do that, to tank or to trade up to get a top pick. What Carolina did with Bryce Young. They were 7-10 a year ago. They could have stayed pat, tried to win now, but said, you know what, we're going to go get the guy we think could be our franchise for a decade. So I respect it. But that's what Tampa's trying to do. Tampa's trying to tank, and they beat this Minnesota team. So Minnesota going on the road now 0-1 to play the Eagles. I mean, a short week. And anytime you got to travel on a short week, I never like teams on the road on a short week. Philly's a 6-point favorite, and that is a stinky line because you would think Philly would be a much bigger home favorite there. But we'll ask Jimmy about that in about 10 minutes from right now. This matchup a year ago saw Darius Slay really handcuff Justin Jefferson, and Slay talked about facing Justin Jefferson again.
I'm sure like everybody probably thinks I hope now. I'm sure he probably watched film. He corrected himself. He watched my film. He got better probably this all season. I'll try to do my best to get better as well. He's an amazing player, man. Tough task, man. High energy guy. Great at the catch. Full goal speed. So yeah, man, it's gonna take always a team effort to stop a guy like that.
Now, if you flip it over to the other side of the ball, by the way, in that game against Philly last year, Jefferson had 6 catches for 48 yards in that game against Philly. So Slay did a really good job against Jets at a time when not many people were. Dan Orlovsky was on NFL Live and kind of flipped it and talked about that Vikings defensive line, their ability to create pressure against the Eagles offense.
It'll be interesting for me watching this game how kind of this offense handles the Vikings' simulated pressure. I know the Vikings lost last week, but their simulated pressure package wreaked havoc early on for Tampa Bay's offense, and kind of playing under duress for more often than not was a Tampa Bay offense. So the challenge, and this was a team, to Hawk's point, Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts last week against pressure was 1 for 9 for 6 yards and a pick. That's terrible. If I was the Vikings, I would be sitting here saying, we're going to throw you a lot of these simulated pressures when we put all those bodies at the line of scrimmage. Only 4 guys rush, and you're trying to figure out where the pressure is coming from, who's the one-on-one, and what's the coverage.
Dan Orlovsky talking about this matchup tonight with that Vikings pressure against the Eagles offense. Vikings are a 6-point road dog here. Philly a 6-point home favorite. We'll get our pick from Jimmy here in about 5 minutes in Otter Locks. All right, it's After Further Review brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. That's WilliamsonEye.com. I highly, highly, highly recommend, as I have for a long time, that you call the Williamson Eye Center and set up that free consultation. And I've told you before, of course, no matter your age or refractive issue, they have something for everyone. They have a refractive procedure to help you see 20/20 without contacts or glasses. LASIK is awesome. I'm a product of that. I am thrilled. Some people, though, who are nearsighted, you have another option if either you're not a candidate for LASIK or you would like to explore another opportunity. The EVO ICL, which is an implanted or implantable contact lens, is another option. It's not new. It's been around for 20 years. But the Williamson Eye Center participated in all of the FDA clinical studies for this 20 years ago. So there's literally no ophthalmologist in this state better prepared to do this than Dr. Blake Williamson. So it's a great option for people who have thin corneas, if you have dry eyes, if you have a really high prescription or told you're not a candidate for LASIK, EVO may be for you. So LASIK, EVO, PRK, so many different things that we've talked about. The custom lens replacement we've talked about. It's the Williamson Eye Center. They do it all. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. That's WilliamsonEye.com. All right, y'all. It's After Further Review. Have you noticed on Twitter any updates yet from Brian Kelly or anybody at the Brian Kelly presser?
Not that I've seen. I just refreshed a second time here.
Okay. So Brian Kelly was supposed to meet with reporters. I think 5:25 was the allotted time, and they're usually very prompt, but they might be on the practice field late. So normally we allocate this time right here to give you updates of what Brian Kelly's saying in real time. But again, he apparently hasn't gotten to the podium yet. So if we do get anything noteworthy from BK before he gets out of here, we'll certainly pass it along to you. If you missed anything on the show today, you can check it out on demand. We did talk about the Saints roster moves. We spent part of the first hour, speaking of LSU, we listened to some of what Emory Jones had to say to reporters about working with Lance Hurd and about the Mississippi State defensive front. And I really, truly believe that as much as we're going to talk about the LSU pass defense, for all the reasons that will be a storyline this week and every week throughout the year, this weekend in Starkville is about LSU's offensive line. Because if LSU's offensive line is able to run the ball, Southeastern was not able to run the ball against State. They ran it for 83 yards. And Arizona was not able to run the ball. They ran it for 91 yards. Now, Arizona threw for 340, and there are yards to be had in that secondary. But if LSU, we know, can throw it, can control the line of scrimmage and run the ball, it's going to be a long day for Mississippi State because it's going to take them out of the game they'd like to play there with Zach Arnett, which is more of a defensive-minded game than what we saw with Mike Leach. So if you missed that conversation, it's hour number 1. We had Steve Robertson here, covers Mississippi State for Gene's Page. He was here in hour 2. RC was here earlier this hour. Mike Triplett, you miss anything AFR on demand, please subscribe up to the After Further Review YouTube channels. Just search After Further Review LSU, After Further Review Saints on YouTube, and you'll see all of our content there. If you miss it, we give it to you short form, bite-sized, easily digestible 8-10 minute segments there for you on YouTube. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks for being here with us. Let me knock out our final break of the show. We'll come back, do some Otter Locks, Thursday Night Football, college, and NFL. We'll see what the Otters got for us. That's next here on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time, or you don't pay a dime. Give them a buzz, y'all. Got problems with your AC? Call River City's 1 Hour Air. There's no reason to look up another company or think of anything else. The big yellow truck with the giant clock on the side. They'll be there because they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. Got this one from Charles Anselmo, 5-star Google review. It was a pleasure working with this company. They were extremely responsive and very helpful when my HVAC stopped working on a Sunday. I would call them again, he notes. Tell you all the time. Doesn't matter. Nights, holidays, weekends, they will always come out, and they'll never charge you extra to come out. Nights, holidays, weekends. It's River City's 1-hour air. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com for River City's 1-hour air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there in the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Thursday edition of AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. One thing left to do, find out what we're betting on tonight. It's time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and often incomprehensible, the man who is glad it is a football night and not a baseball night, the Ottfather himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter! How are you?
Note to self, don't walk in front of a dump truck that's coming to highway. My God. I mean,
0 for 4 last night. You got to stop with the baseball, Otter. It's over. It's over.
What are you suggesting? I mean, there's nothing else to play. Would you like some La Liga? You know,
I mean, it's worth a shot.
I
have faith in you.
Look, hey, no bad beats either. I mean, they pulled St. Louis. St. Louis pulls this guy out of Tigerland. He 2 hits the Orioles.
Well, Otter, here's the thing. I went on I did about a 10th of my normal bet on your picks yesterday.
Yeah.
Because but now I'll tell you, tonight, you tell me we're going hard, we're going hard tonight. Because I'm going to tell you, man, you and your band of merry handicappers have been in fuego for more than a year now in the NFL, and I'm ready for it. Whatever you got, I'm in.
So this line was 7.5 and even 8 for a big chunk of this week. It's down to 6, and you're seeing some 6.5 out there as well. I do not like the side, but I love the total. We saw what Jalen Carter can do. I mean, Mac Jones was getting rid of the ball under 2 seconds every time. And I don't know if Cousins can do it because that Eagles pass rush is unbelievable. Minnesota's got multiple offensive linemen out for tonight. I think they're going to have a real hard time scoring, even with 2 of their DBs out tonight. Now, the other side is, Philadelphia didn't look great. I mean, they had about 270 yards against New England. They should have lost the game, much less not cover. But this total, I can't believe it is this high. And this is based on Philly's offensive numbers last year. A little bit off in week 1. I love the under, man. I think it's 49 is what you're looking at.
I'm looking at 49, yep.
Yeah, so that's my play tonight. You wanna have a little fun tonight? Do a little 2-team teaser. Tease Memphis down to 7.5, and then also Philadelphia down to 6.
All right. So if you want to tease Memphis 7.5 and Philly pick, and then under 49 is the play. Do you have a feeling about the side in the college game tonight?
I wanted. Yeah, well, I mean, Memphis is the side I like. They're very good at home. They're returning starting quarterback had a great couple of games, and Navy's just still tinkering around with this new offense. The thing, I was going to bet Minnesota over, but I mean, I can't do that right now. Especially I think they'll be close, but I mean, not that close. I can't lay. I mean, I can't take less than a touchdown with the Vikings right now.
Okay. All right. So under 49 is the play, and then you can also work on a little teaser there with Memphis tease it to 7.5, Philly tease it to a pick, and parlay them together. Otter, tomorrow, Football Friday at Ruffino's.
Ruffino's started an hour early. Bruce Dixon comes in 10 a.m. Bruce Marshall, Paul Stone, picks galore. So went 4-1 on my 5-pack last week with
awesome.
one loss. Texas Tech. Little pick 6 for 30 seconds.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I had Texas Tech as well last week, but that was
I've been
brutal.
waiting since the 4th of July to make that bet.
All right, Otter, we appreciate it, man. Have a great night.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, be well. That is Jimmy Otter, joins us every day here for Otter Locks, gives you best pick, best bet of the night. It's after further review. Of course, we're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Blue Bonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette. Remember, all this month at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, 20% off Pico Way laser tattoo removal, the most advanced laser tattoo removal in the world. Virtually pain-free, fewer treatments, no downtime at all, more effective, and it's 20% off all this month at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Also remember, at Aesthetic, they've got semaglutide. It's all the rage. Everybody's asking about it. They've got it, so inquire at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, online, theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. Brian Kelly is meeting with reporters now, and this is disappointing, but this is an updated injury report. This will certainly affect things for LSU. 2 defensive starters are Mason Taylor. I'm sorry. Thinking Mason Smith. So that's actually a little bit of a relief. Mason Taylor is a game time decision for Saturday. Of course, tweaked his ankle against Grambling, so game time decision. We'll see if he goes. Could be a great opportunity to see Mac Markway and Kamorian Pimpton and some of those young tight ends. But, what you have is an inline blocker with Markway and with Connor Gilbreth. Don't sleep with Connor Gilbreth has played a lot of football already for this. Nobody knows him because he's just a sixth offensive lineman, essentially. But he wears 89, and he's a guy that's played a bunch. And if Mason Taylor's not out there, you might see more of it. So we'll see. The other is Omar Spates. Omar Spates doubtful, although he'll travel with the team, Brian Kelly said. So in this tweet, there's no list of what the injury is for Omar Spates, but that is unfortunate because we already know you move Greg Penn to the middle and Harold Perkins back to the outside. So is the trickle-down effect here that you move Perkins back inside, or do we see more of West Weeks, or do we see more of Witt Weeks? That's going to be interesting, to say the very least, how LSU plans to line that up against Mississippi State with Omar Spates out, because that's a spot where you could ill afford to lose anybody just because of your lack of experience depth at that off-ball linebacker spot. So, all right, it's after further review. We're just about done here. Muse, did you learn anything today?
The Fantasy Blitz dates at least to 2012.
At least to 2012. That could be earlier, but that's when the Open was made back in 2012. Darin said he remembers it earlier than that. Maybe it's possible we did it, just didn't have an Open. I don't remember what I did on the show yesterday. I think I remember 12 years ago. Paulie, what'd you learn today?
I learned that RC watches football games on the plane.
He does watch football games on the plane.
What did you learn, Matt?
And the guy on the plane didn't know what RC did for a living. Something. Awesome. Also, expecting, Steve Robertson told us, we're expecting that Mississippi State offense to look a little more wide open this weekend. We'll see. See you tomorrow.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, remind you about Mold Zero USA, mold-0usa.com, mold-0usa.com. Kill mold, remove odor, I tell you every single day. But remember, with Mold Zero, if you need remediation, it's less invasive. So they're not coming in to cut sheetrock and pull out carpet and do all that. You don't have to get out of your house for days or weeks. No. And it's less expensive as well. You can go to the website, scroll down. You can read the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers report if you're interested. Or you could take my word for it. Or you can call Mold Zero, talk to Jim Woodworth, let him explain the process and how it works. Mold and odor removal, it's so easy. Some of the pictures, some of the stories that he tells about clients they've been able to help who are living with mold in their home or in their office building, it's incredible. It's life-changing. It's affordable. It's less invasive. It's Mold Zero. Mold-0usa.com. Mold-0usa.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing